Couleur ivory pour les primes.
Sir, just what are we facing here?
A relic of the old world. Ready your men, Captain. We will only get one chance. And remember, when you hear the whispers, call for help. Do not attack.
When you hear the whispers, what do you think he was on about?
It's Dorman, right?
Yeah?
Then Dorman. Shut your damn mouth. Ugh, why do I always get stuck with these rookies?
Hey, the kid's got a mean cleave. Give him a chance.
Quiet.
Sullen!
Mon gars, il y a des cinématiques. Trop cool.
A mean cleave, eh, Captain? Rookie can't even lift his own sword. Captain Oren? Captain? It's here. Rain! Send the signal!
What the fuck?
Rain! On my back, Rookie! Blade up!
Come on, come on! I'm ready. I'm ready. It's a man.
No, it's not.
Mon gars, ils sont chauds en cinématique, hein.
Run.
Stop! Humanity isn't ready.
On your feet, lad.
Sir, the captain,
You'll be fine. Here.
What is it?
Get the body.
Stop. Mortal. It can still be contained. You don't know what you have unleashed.
Your kind no longer control this world. We cannot destroy your body, it's
La
true.
voix de qui, ça?
But you will watch as we destroy everything you have built. Bind him! Feed. Grow, my child. I'll make sure you can eat your fill.
C'est Kira, quoi, on est d'accord, hein. Vous pensez que c'est Shaper? Le gourde avec les yeux bleus, là? Faites F5 pour le droit à pas actualiser.
Hi, I'm Jonathan Rogers, Game Director on Path of Exile 2. Now, Path of Exile 2 is going into early access in around 2 weeks on December the 6th.
Confirmé.
But even though it's early access, this isn't just some small taste. The game is huge. In this live stream, we're going to be
Le jeu
introducing
est
everything you
énorme,
can
il a dit.
expect.
Il est déjà
So
énorme.
without further ado, let's roll the gameplay trailer.
Existence is a thing of beauty, precious, but impermanent. Life and death are mortal enemies, and yet bound to one another. The continuation of life must be protected at all costs.
Oh, grosse vibe curasse, ça. Hein.
Some have said my methods are brutal. To this, I say, there can be no salvation without sacrifice.
Oh mon gars! Là, on a les classes qui sont confirmées du coup. Oh là là. C'est des grands malades. Oh.
We are faced with
Les
the
maps!
end.
Les maps, mesdames et messieurs!
I will do what I must.
Oh l'Atlas! Oh là là, la gueule de l'Atlas! Vous avez vu ça? Vous avez vu l'Atlas, les gars? Non mais... Mais qu'est-ce que c'est? Oh là là, les ascendances, vous avez vu, c'est des constellations! Oh les graphismes, mon gars, ça m'a la pété, hein!
Those who obsess with death, let them soon be acquainted with it.
Oh mon gars, les frissons, mon gars! Ah, elle a regardé le stream, elle a le
Now, as
MTX.
you just saw, even in early access, Path of Exile 2 is a big game. It's actually been 5 years since we announced PoE 2, and over that time we've revealed a lot, but it's been in bits and pieces. It's pretty hard to keep track of it all, so today we're going to do a full rundown of all the content that will be
ils
available
vont
at
faire
the start
tout
of
le
early
tour
access.
de ce qu'on aura à l'early
Classes,
access.
character progression systems, and for the first time, a full overview of the endgame.
Tout l'endgame va
This is
être
going to be a
révélé.
big one, so get comfortable. For 20 years, Rayclast has been free from any sources of corruption, but the Count of Ogham, tempted by promises of power,
20 ans après PoE,
intends
hein.
to harness it once more. The dead are rising, monsters are mutating, and madness is spreading. Under the dark influence of corruption, the Count doles out sentences of death to any who would question him.
Donc on était condamné à mort et on s'échappe. Et l'écran de sélection du personnage pour ceux qui n'ont pas suivi.
And this is where you find yourself at the start of PoE 2. Explore the dark forests of Ogham. Traverse the barren plains
Ah. F. Alors j'espère qu'ils ont pas craché, non, c'est bon, c'est bon, c'est bon, c'est bon, c'est bon.
and delve into the jungle ruins of Exile, an ancient Val city. There are challenging
Bah.
monsters,
Y'a des gens qui ont des problèmes aussi ou pas?
hidden
Ou c'est juste moi?
rooms, lost camps. Track down the seed of corruption, the source of all this devastation.
Alors là.
On the way, you'll face fearsome monsters, meet strange
Pareil sur
characters,
l'officiel.
forge unlikely bonds,
Tout le monde, ça bug apparemment. Ça bug sur la officielle,
and
non.
uncover lost civilizations.
DDoS. Non, y'a pas de DDoS de Twitch, les gars.
But first, you'll need to pick a class.
Aïe, tout le monde dit F.
Now, early access will initially have 6 classes available. Let's have a look at them. The Monk is a fast and furious melee
Wow.
fighter. He dashes in and out of combat and has mechanics that involve building up and keeping momentum. Like all classes in PoE 2,
Là, il faut que
you'll want
Twitch
to use
remette
a
des
wide
serveurs pour
variety of
PoE 2
skills
là.
to mix and match different combos.
Aïe 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 les gars, le live il est en train de prendre. Il y a combien de viewers sur PO2 là? 400 000 déjà? Aïe aïe aïe.
Using a skill gem will open the gem cutting menu, which shows all the active skills
Aïe,
available
aïe,
in
aïe.
PoE2. You can choose an existing.
On l'avait pas mis dans le bingo celle-là, mesdames et messieurs. Bon, bah vous avez un aperçu, mesdames et messieurs, de l'Early Access. C'est l'Early Access dès ce soir. Bon, au moins, il y a plein de gens, regardez, il y a plein de gens qui s'abonnent. Il y a plein de gens qui s'abonnent là pour faire marcher les serveurs, mesdames et messieurs, pour qui c'est. Mec. Ah, vous pensez que c'est genre une attaque, les primes, là? Vous pensez que ça, c'est une attaque? En vrai, c'est possible, hein? Vous pensez que c'est vrai, ça, ou que c'est genre juste... c'est ça qui est en train de déglinguer le live? Oh, mon gars! Il y a des mecs qui sont en train d'attaquer le live de PO2, carrément? C'est Blizzard qui lâche des primes. Non, non. Ouais, mais c'est quoi cette histoire? C'est quoi cette histoire? J'ai jamais vu ça. Hein. Je suis Twitch depuis 10 ans. C'est pas 10 ans, mais un moment. J'ai jamais vu un spam de prime comme ça. Vous avez déjà vu ça, vous? Même sur genre les streams d'Asmongold et tout, enfin Asmongold je crois qu'on peut pas prime, mais même les très très gros streams genre LOL, etc. Bon, après moi ils vont être très riches, hein.
Sir, just what are we facing here?
Ah.
Precious. Those who
Ah, ils sont en train d'avancer, là dans la vidéo.
There are 21 active skills.
Ok. On est reparti, mesdames et messieurs.
The surface of the options that you have. By in-game, you'll be dashing from pack to pack, spewing
Waouh,
to where
c'était
you
bon,
find
ce temps qui
yourself
s'est
at
passé
the
là quand même.
start of PoE2. Explore the dark forests of Ogham. Traverse the barren plains of the Vesteri Desert.
Oh, les décors, mon
And
gars.
delve into the jungle ruins of Utsal, an ancient Val city. There are challenging monsters, hidden runes, lost camps and treasures, roaming merchants, and of course, unique bosses. No two areas are the same. It falls to you to track down the seed of corruption, the source of all
Ah,
this
le jeu est
devastation.
magnifique, hein.
On the way, you'll face fearsome monsters, meet strange characters, forge unlikely bonds, and uncover lost civilizations. But first,
Ah,
we need
les
to pick a
classes,
class.
mesdames et messieurs.
Now, early access will initially have 6 classes available.
6 classes.
Let's have a look at them. The Monk is a fast
moine.
and furious melee fighter. He dashes in and out of combat, and his mechanics involve building up and keeping momentum. Like all classes in PoE2, you'll want to use a wide variety of skills to mix and match different combos.
Ah, le moine, il a l'air
To
bien,
get new skills,
bien nerveux.
you'll
Hein.
first need to find skill gems. Using a skill gem will open the gem cutting menu, which shows all the active skills available in PoE2.
Regardez ma vidéo si vous
You
l'avez
can
pas
choose
vu.
an existing
Sur
skill
le skill
level up,
gems.
or choose to engrave a new one. Since this is a level 7 skill gem, even if you pick a new skill, it will immediately be level 7, so there's no harm in trying out something new.
Ah, c'est vrai qu'il y a
The
la
Monk
cloche.
primarily uses the quarterstaff.
Donc arme
There are
d'astre,
3 schools of
principalement.
martial arts: lightning, ice, and wind.
Ah, le type
But don't
vent.
think you have to stick to just
On
one.
connaissait pas ça.
The best combos are going to involve mixing
Et donc
elements
il y aura
of
un
all
mix
three.
d'éléments à faire.
Let's try Killing Palm. Like many monk skills, this can be used to quickly take advantage of a specific situation. If there's an enemy on low life, you can use Killing Palm
Deux
to
potions,
dash to them
bien
and
vu
kill
ça.
them instantly. This will provide a power
Ah,
charge.
c'est le son du live qui est comme
Then
ça,
we can use
évidemment.
a different skill to consume that
C'est chelou
power
chez moi
charge
aussi.
for a much more devastating attack. The monk also has powerful combo skills. Tempest Bell, for example, is a skill that places a giant resonating bell. Hitting the bell causes it to ring, dealing damage to all enemies around it. You can also do things like freeze or shock the bell, which will add elemental damage to the strikes.
Tu poses une cloche,
The
tu
monk
cognes la
also has a
cloche.
variety of
Et
abilities
ça
to
fait
empower
pou pou
his
pou.
staff. If an enemy is close to being stunned, you can use Staggering Palm to punch them down. After that, any attack you do will shoot out wind projectiles. There are 21 active skills for quarterstaves, so this just scratches the surface of the options that you
21
have.
compétences
By
juste
in-game, you'll be dashing from
pour
pack
l'arme
to pack,
d'Ast.
spewing projectiles and obliterating screens of enemies with huge combo attacks.
play
Now,
pause.
if you like a small enemies with large amounts of armor, even though the mace slams are slow, you never lose control. Longer attacks can be retargeted as you go, and if you find yourself committed to a long attack, you can dodge
mieux le
roll
son,
out of
là
it at any time. Among the skill option for maces, you will find a variety of slams, fire attacks, war cries,
Donc
and
là, on est
shield
que sur le
skills.
moine, mesdames et messieurs.
Here, I'm going to slam the ground, rending it apart with lines
Ah non,
of
c'est le
fire.
warrior, ça, pardon, c'est le
Any
warrior, c'est le
slam
warrior.
skill will then cause these fissures to erupt with lava. I can even run through them with a skill like Stampede to do huge amounts of damage.
Là, je crois que c'est le warrior maintenant.
The warrior can also use war cries, which can empower your next skill. Seismic Cry, for example, will
Le
double
warrior,
any
hein,
slams
les cris de
with next
guerre.
attack. The
la
Stampede
cla-
counts as a slam, so I can
Habituel.
double that for even more craziness. If you want to go a little faster and be a little more defensive, equip a shield.
Là, vous voyez, maintenant, le
Here we too,
bloc
you can
est
raise your
actif.
shield at any time.
Tu
to
lèves
block
ton
all
bouclier pour
damage
te
from the
protéger.
front, even spells. While holding up your shield, your stun meter will build as you take damage, so be careful. If it reaches
rivière de sang derrière,
100%, your
incroyable.
stance will break and you will be vulnerable.
Ça va beaucoup arriver,
Some
mesdames et
enemies
messieurs.
also have unblockable attacks, which are indicated by this red flash. If you see one of these coming, make sure to dodge out of the way.
Classique. Attaque rouge,
Using a
pas bloqué.
shield also gives you access to shield skills, like Shield Charge, which allows you to charge towards enemies and stun them. While charging, you're also blocking the whole time, so you have full damage immunity from the front.
Bon, mais là, en tout cas, du
The
gameplay
warrior
bien
also
bourrin,
has
j'ai
access
l'impression.
to
Hein.
totems. Some totems have built-in abilities, like Shockwave Totem, which can be placed to stun nearby enemies and trigger aftershocks like those from the earthquake. But you can also get Ancestral Warrior Totems, which allow you to use any slam skill in your repertoire.
On
This is
bloque
a
pas
meta
le dos,
skill,
ouais.
which means that
Exactement.
it's a skill you can put other skills into. I can take a slam like Sunder and socket it into my Ancestral Warrior Totem. Now when I summon him, he'll sit there and slam the monsters from a distance.
Ouah, tu peux mettre un skill mêlé dans
There
un
are
totem,
20
et après le
active
totem
skills for
l'utilise.
maces, so there's a lot more to try out. But by endgame, you're going to be dropping hammers from the sky,
Incroyable.
fearlessly into combat, and separating the very earth you stand on.
Bon, le gameplay est pas mal là, hein. Je sais pas ce que vous en pensez. Mais ça va un peu plus vite
Time
que
for
ce qu'on
some
nous a
ranged
montré. Hein.
attacks. The ranger is primarily about the bow, but we wanted to
Ranger.
make sure that she feels agile as well. In
Wow.
PoE 2, you can shoot while moving.
Tu peux te déplacer en
Combined with
tirant.
all the skills the
Incroyable.
ranger has that allow you to jump around, you will have a lot of mobility in combat.
Oh
Bow
là là.
skills have a variety of lightning,
Ça va me parler,
poison,
ça, hein.
ice, and physical attacks. Lightning attacks bounce around between targets. You can also stick lightning arrows in the ground which explode when hit by the bouncers, or electrocute enemies to take them out of combat.
Ça fait envie, hein. Moi je suis un ball over. J'avoue
Ice
que.
attacks allow you to slow and freeze enemies to keep them away from you. Using poison, not only can you slowly damage your enemies from afar, but also grow some
Bon poison,
interesting
peut-être mon
plants.
starter. À mon avis,
With 21 bow skills and all the
T'es
mobility
à
and
l'aise,
combo
un beau
tools the
poison.
ranger has, you can take advantage of every situation. By endgame, you'll be creating hundreds of arrows, be they falling from the sky,
vous avez vu?
bouncing around between enemies, or spraying out of tornadoes. You might have
Vous avez vu
noticed
un peu
in the
là,
bottom
comment il a
left of
écrit
the
le pack?
screen that the flask slots look a little different. In PoE 2, you have one dedicated life flask slot and one mana flask
une
slot.
life flask, une mana flask.
Flasks gain charges as you kill enemies, and typically allow you to heal 6 or 7 times if they're full. But that's not the only thing you can use charges for. Charms are a new item type that will automatically defend you from various debuffs or damage types.
Intéressant.
Having trouble with getting frozen? Equip the
Ah,
thawing
c'est des
charm.
nouvelles flasques entre
When
guillemets.
it's fully charged, it will make you immune to freeze for 3 seconds if you get frozen. To recharge them, just kill more monsters. You can gain more slots for charms by upgrading your belt.
Ah, comme dans des deux, les gars. Le nombre de slots de potions ou de charmes, bah là, de charme en
Mercenary
l'occurrence,
wields a
c'est la
crossbow that can be
ceinture.
loaded with different ammo types,
Mercenaire,
offering
mercenaire.
versatility, power, and mobility.
Wow, là là, vous avez vu ça?
All classes in Path of Exile 2 can be controlled with WASD, which makes this class play exactly like a shooter. For the crossbow, you will find skills that work like shotguns, sniper rifles, assault rifles, and
Oh
even
là là,
grenade
mon gars, mais
launchers.
c'est un
Not
AK-47
only
là.
that, there are a wide variety of more interesting elemental ammos too. It's very fast to switch between ammo types,
Oh là là,
as
le
long as
Red
you
Gun
already have
carrément
them loaded,
maintenant.
which makes the Mercenary able to combo abilities together for devastating effect. Use Glacial Bolt to create
Je
walls
te
of
jure,
ice
c'est
to separate
incroyable.
enemies,
C'est incroyable.
then switch to Fragmentation rounds to explode the ice, dealing massive AoE damage. If I come across an armored enemy, I could use armor-piercing rounds to break their armor, and then high-velocity rounds to take them down. Or perhaps I could fire a gas grenade to poison enemies
Ça sera pas
before
tant chance
detonating
de
the
classe,
cloud
hein.
with an explosive shot for massive damage. If you want
Il y
to
aura du
call
gold
in
dans
some
PO2, oui,
suppressing
oui.
fire, you can summon artillery ballistas.
Comme dans PO1
These
actuellement.
have a minimum range, so you'll want to prepare your position carefully before moving in. There are 22 active skills for crossbows. By endgame, you'll be calling
22
destruction
skills
down
juste pour
from the
l'arbalète.
sky as you litter the battlefield with grenades and pepper your enemies with your automatic shotgun.
Bon, mon gars, mais ça.
If you're looking to take a back seat
Ça
and let your
découpe pas
minions do
l'endgame,
the
hein, vous avez
work,
vu?
then the witch should be your choice.
Ah,
She can call forth
La
hordes
witch.
of undead monsters to fight
L'invoque.
while casting powerful chaos spells that debilitate her enemies.
les deux, elle veut dire. ZQSD ou point
Cold
to click,
skills
comme
are
tu
some
veux.
of the most varied in the game, with skeletons, noxious spells, specialty minions, curses, and
Ouah, mon
sacrificial
gars.
magic.
Ah,
Before we talk about minions, we'll have to talk about a new resource in Path of Exile 2 called Spirit.
l'esprit.
This is a spirit gem,
La
which
ressource
allows you
pour
to pick
avoir
from a
des
range
minions
of
ou des
persistent
auras.
skills. All classes have a variety of these skills which can add some very interesting effects, like Arctic Armor, which does cold damage to enemies that hit you, or Raging Spirits, which summon fiery skulls each time
Ah,
you
les
cast a
Raging
fire
Skills.
spell.
Ils sont là, mesdames et
For the
messieurs.
Witch, though, we'll want to be using our Spirit to create permanent minions. These minions will be revived automatically when they die, so you don't have to worry about resummoning them all the time. Here, I'm using the skill screen to allocate which minions I would like in my horde. You can see the spirit cost of each one.
Ah, moi, c'est peut-être mon starter, hein,
Skeletal
donc.
warriors are cheap, but weak, useful for tanking damage and distracting enemies. But I want more heavy hitters in my army, so I'm going to unsummon some warriors and instead add skeletal arsonists. Permanent minions come with special active abilities
Ah,
called
mais le jeu va
command
être.
skills.
Enfin.
You
C'est
can
une
order
dinguerie,
these
hein.
guys to detonate your own minions for even more damage and area of effect.
Prenez mon fric,
If you want
exactement.
a bigger army, you'll need a scepter. This new weapon type is imbued with even more spirit, allowing you to summon even more friends. And if you want an even bigger army than that, you can take advantage of corpses to
Donc on
summon
va pouvoir,
true
comme d'habitude,
horde
hein,
minions.
comme dans le 1,
But what can the
ressusciter
witch
des
do
ennemis pour
while
qu'ils se
her
battent pour
army is
nous.
at work? Well, she has a range of chaos spells to spread disease amongst your enemies, or bone skills to impale them. Or, you know, you could curse them to
Ah,
make
maintenant,
them
t'es le
weaker
hack and
so
slash
your
des
horde can
prochaines
take
années, a
them
priori.
down.
hein.
There are 25
Hey.
active occult skills. By the end game, you'll be the leader of a fearsome
25
army of the
skills
dead,
d'invocation.
consuming everything in its path.
Plus que dans tous les 4, toutes les classes réunies.
The sorceress bends the elements to her will, using them to unleash devastation on her foes.
Yo, Cam.
This classic spellcaster weaves a flurry of elemental magic
Ok,
from afar.
élémentaliste, donc sorceress.
The elemental skills have everything you might expect and more. Fireballs, icy explosions, lightning storms, you get the idea. Each spell is unique and has many different ways to build and combo with others, even between different elements.
Oh,
For example, Flame Wall conjures a burning line that not only damages enemies, but also
oh,
empowers
ça, vous avez
more
vu ça?
projectiles that pass
Les trucs
through it.
électriques, ils deviennent enflammés du
If
coup
you
en passant
place
dans
a
le mur de
wall
feu.
and fire lightning sparks through it, they'll gain extra fire.
Comme dans PO1 en fait. Sauf que dans PO1, je crois que
It's
ça
a good
marchait que pour
idea
les
to take
skills, que pour les
advantage of
skills
the
de feu.
ability to automatically
Pas de
swap
bêtises.
weapons when you use certain skills. Having a special staff with bonuses to fire skills and another with
Donc là,
bonuses to lightning
il
skills
parle
can really power
de
up a combo
l'auto-swap
like
d'armes
this.
et de l'auto-swap d'armes de
The sorceress
compétences.
can also take advantage of powerful
En fonction du
triggered
skill que vous
gems.
envoyez.
For example, you could grab the Cast and Ignite gem and use it with Firestorm. As you ignite enemies, a counter will go up in the top left corner. When it's full, a Firestorm will automatically be cast at the enemy that was ignited.
Oh là là, du coup, il parle un peu des systèmes de proc, de déclenchement.
By endgame, you'll be firing
Wow.
projectiles left and right as you rain down elemental storms on your
Ah, mon
foes.
gars, les games, ça fait envie. Hein.
Now,
Vous avez vu ça un
those
peu?
are the characters that will be available at the start of
Exactement,
early
Ghost.
access. But we will be adding 6 more character classes with just as many skills and options as these. There's a lot more to come. There's one more important thing to mention about skills. Even though we talk about them as belong to each class, in reality there are no restrictions.
Donc évidemment, il n'y a pas de restriction.
You can use
Tu peux
all
jouer ce que
these
tu veux.
skills on any class so long as you have the attributes.
Eux, ils vont un peu nous
For
guider.
example, a poison ranger
Mais
might
vous
want
pouvez
to try
évidemment
out
toujours
using
jouer ce que vous
occult
voulez.
curses to increase her poison damage.
Vous avez envie de jouer des
Or
cœurs
a
sur
monk
votre
might want to trigger elemental
ranger,
ice
hein.
balls to use with his glacial cascade combo.
Ou un moine
The
jouer des sorts élémentaires, vous avez
possibilities for
toujours la
cross-class
possibilité.
combos are practically unlimited. We're looking forward to what kind of things you guys might find. Now, Path of Exile is a game known for build customization, and we haven't even scratched the surface of what is possible yet.
Il dit, on vous a même pas montré encore 1%
So let's talk about
de
support
ce que vous allez pouvoir
gems.
faire pour vos builds.
Path of Exile 2 has a system of support gems that can be combined with your active skills to dramatically change the way they work. If you find a support gem, then right-clicking it will open up this screen. Here you will find a variety of recommended support gems for each of your skills that you can pick between. For example, this is a multiple projectiles support gem and can be used to add multiple projectiles to any skill. Normally when you fire a grenade it'll look like this. But if we add multiple projectiles, then you get 3 of them. Once you have the gem, you can also freely move it between any of the skills on your character. If you want to have a multi-shot sniper rifle instead, then simply move the gem over to your high velocity round skill. Generally speaking, if it sounds like a support gem should work with a skill, then it will work. So it's a good idea to experiment. Note that you can only have one of each support gem on your character, so you'll want to think carefully about which supports can be used best with each skill for maximum
support de chaque, vous pouvez pas avoir plusieurs fois.
Now, if you want to stick to the
Le même support sur votre
recommendations,
perso.
you should have a perfectly good time. But if you want to experiment a bit more, then uncheck that recommended button and you can see the full list of supports that will work with your skill.
Et donc il y aura un système de
There
suggestion
are hundreds of
des
support gems
supports.
to choose from.
Évidemment, comme
And even we
d'habitude,
don't know the
faites
results
ce que vous
of all the
voulez
possible
si
ways
vraiment
these can
vous savez ce que vous
interact.
faites.
Each skill can have up to 5 supports socketed into it. And if you're clever, you can come up with some pretty interesting ideas. Now all of this is just scratching the surface. You can make frost vortexes, break people's armor, make minions explode, make skills repeat, make enemies set each other on fire, cull enemies or pin them to the ground. Supports let you drastically change the behavior of your skills and create your own unique build, or at least follow someone's OP build guide. So, speaking of builds, let's talk about one of the most iconic
L'arbre de
Path of Exile
passif de
systems,
Path of Exile 2.
the passive skill tree.
Il est encore plus gros que celui de Path of Exile 1.
Yes, it's huge. There are over 1,500 nodes on it.
1500 nodes
Now, a lot
différents.
of people open the tree and can get a little intimidated at first, but try not to be scared. There are lots of options, but at its core, it's pretty simple.
C'est simple, il a dit.
Each level, you get 1 point to put into the tree.
Chaque niveau,
Each
vous avez
class
un point,
starts
bah
at
vous
a
le mettez dans
different
l'arbre.
location, but they all share the
Facile.
same tree. Around your section of the tree, you'll find relevant bonuses for your character. You should be safe in the knowledge that there aren't many wrong choices here. Almost all the starting nodes will be useful for your character in some way. But if you do happen to make a choice you regret, you'll
Pretty
be able to
simple.
respec any nodes you've taken by spending a little bit of gold.
Donc on peut respect avec du gold, ce qui est très bien.
Now, the tree is generally divided up into clusters which have similar themes. In each cluster you will find small nodes that give simple bonuses like increased damage, but the real power comes from notables. Notables normally have much more interesting bonuses, and they tend to care a lot more about how your build works and what skills you're using. For example, in the Mercenary area of the tree, this one gives a 25% chance for crossbow skills to not consume a bolt. And here's one that gives grenades a chance to blow up a second time. This one gives a chance for projectiles to rebound off terrain, as well as giving you some pierce chance to make that more likely. Note that even though this is in the Mercenary section, this would work with projectiles from all classes, so there are often reasons to go to different areas of the tree.
On essaie sur PS5, oui, Tom.
In order to get between these clusters, you will generally have to allocate nodes in the attribute highways. Attribute nodes allow you to pick which attribute you would like to use, so it's very easy to get points for any attribute that your gear might need. You can change which attribute these nodes give you for half price at the respec vendor.
Donc maintenant on peut choisir
In
l'attribut qu'on
addition to
veut.
notables,
On
you
n'est
will
plus
also find
fixé.
even larger
Vous
passives
choisissez ce que
called
vous voulez
keystones.
entre les trois attributs.
Keystones have both an upside and a downside, and often require changing your entire build to design around them.
Les keystones, c'est des points
A great
avec
example
un
is
avantage,
Giant's
un
Blood,
inconvénient.
which allows you to wield two-hand weapons in a single hand, but doubles the attribute requirements of them.
Ça c'est incroyable. Hein.
You can use a two-hand mace
Vous
with a
avez-
shield, or even dual wield them.
Vous pouvez avoir une arme à deux mains dans une seule main, mais par contre ça... Wow, vous pouvez dual
How
wield
about Mind
des
Over
armes
Matter,
à
which
deux
makes
mains,
all
pardon.
damage go to your mana pool first before your life pool, but you lose 50% of your mana regen.
N'importe quoi.
Skills like these can be tough to build around.
Oh les gars, des
but if
guerriers,
you're
mesdames
up for
et
the
messieurs, là,
challenge, they can be very
avec une double
rewarding.
hache dans chaque main.
As we showed you earlier on the Sorceress, you can swap between weapon sets on the fly as you use certain skills.
Donc
One of
vous
the new
donc
features
vous
in
pouvez
Path of
lier
Exile
un
2's
skill
passive tree
à
is
un arbre
that
de
you can
talent.
choose to have your passive tree change as you switch between
Et
weapon
quand vous
sets
lancez un
to
sort,
take
ça
advantage of
change
specific
automatiquement
bonuses
votre
on
arbre
the tree.
en fonction de
For
votre
the
arbre.
Sorceress, you might want to change between fire and
Donc,
lightning
par exemple,
specialization.
si vous avez genre des sorts de feu et de foudre, vous avez un bâton de
Or you
feu.
could switch between
un
one
bâton
hand
de
and a
foudre.
two-hand setup in order to be
Et
able
donc
to
quand vous
block
faites un
boss
sort de feu,
attacks
ça met l'arbre de
while
feu, un
following
sort de
up with
foudre, le
heavy
bâton de
hits from
foudre.
your bigger mace.
Idem pour les
Or
guerriers
perhaps you could have a full curse setup
spécialisés
on your
à la
witch
fois
to debuff enemies before
dans les
switching to
massues et dans les
a
haches.
chaos degen build for maximum damage.
lorsque vous utilisez, et ça change automatiquement quand
If you
vous
want
utilisez
to
le
stick
skill.
with just one weapon set, you can just use these specialization points as bonus points to invest however you like.
Ah, si vous,
But creative players will find
vous pouvez
plenty
ne
of
pas vous en servir
opportunities with
sinon,
this system.
et juste les allouer tout le temps.
You can get weapon specialization points throughout the campaign from optional bosses and quests.
Et donc ces points-là se gagnent
For
dans des
example,
quêtes.
if I manage to defeat the Crowbell,
et
I'll
des
get a
boss
weapon
optionnels.
specialization book. There are lots of other permanent boosts available from the campaign too. On the map, you
Oh
can
là
see
là, la map, elle est
icons
tellement
that
belle.
indicate the many optional encounters you can find. Some of them have permanent character boosts, and others have powerful items. If you're having trouble getting past a boss, it might be a good idea to explore and see what you can find.
Et donc il dit dans la
For
campagne, si vous en
example,
chiez,
if you defeat Blackjaw
explorez.
the Remnant, you'll gain a permanent increase to fire resistance. One of the most important finds are spirit bonuses. You can find the first one here in the canopy in Act 1. Defeat the boss in this area
connaît
to
le King of the
acquire a
Mist.
permanent addition of spirit. The permanent buffs you gain from spirit are very powerful, and every class will find a use for them.
Donc là, vous voyez, on
make sure
gagne
you hunt down
30
these
de maximum
upgrades.
spirit
There's
permanent
one in each
en
act.
tuant ce boss.
Now we haven't even talked about the most important element of character progression, items.
Version
That's
FR,
why
je
we're
sais
all
pas,
here,
le 6.
right?
Pour l'early
Items
access.
in Path of Exile can be broken down into 4 rarity groups: normal, magic, rare, and unique.
Ça on connaît.
One of the things you're
On a
going
vu
to
le
want to
cooldown.
do as you play through the campaign is upgrade the
les
items you
currency.
find. And you can do that with currency items. An orb of transmutation
Oh, le jeu, il
will
est
allow
beau,
you
hein.
to upgrade a normal item to
Le
a
jeu à
magic
gauche, il est
item with
magnifique,
one
hein.
mod. You can then apply an orb of augmentation to add a second mod, then use a regal orb to add a third mod,
Ah, là, il
and
lock,
upgrade
là.
it to a rare. Finally, you can use some exalted orbs to add more mods to your rare to a total of 6 mods. One of the things we think is really important is to make these options available to use as you play.
Et donc,
All the items that add mods are much more common than they were in
beaucoup
Path of Exile
plus
1,
de ces items-là
so
que
that
dans
you can use
PoE1.
them throughout your campaign playthrough. We want you to find things on the ground that can be crafted into upgrades much more frequently. As well as making the drop rates on these items much more common, you can also get them by disenchanting unwanted gear at the magic item
ça
vendor.
c'est le
If
système
you
de vendeur
disenchant magic items,
de
you can build
PoE
up
entre
to
guillemets,
an
mais un
orb of
peu, ça a l'air d'être
transmutation.
bien amélioré.
And by disenchanting rares, you can build up to regal orbs. Another important area of crafting items in PoE 2 is sockets. Some items you find will have sockets that can have Ezomite runes placed in them that add more mods to the item.
On a
If I
des
insert this
sockets pour des
glacial
runes.
rune into my helmet, it
Ça
will give
rappelle des
extra
choses,
cold
ça, mesdames et
resistance.
messieurs. Les
This
runes
is a
qui
great way
arrivent
to solve
dans
problems that you have with
PoE2.
your build, like resistances or damage. If you find
Est-ce qu'il y a des
socketed
runes
items
word?
that you
C'est la
don't have
question
a
qu'on
use
se pose.
for, you can take them to the salvage bench in town to work towards an artificer's orb. This will allow you to add sockets to your existing items. Body armors and two-hand weapons can have up to 2 sockets, while the rest of your armor and one-hand weapons can
Est-ce
only
qu'il y a
have
des
1
rune
socket.
words?
You can also salvage items with quality to create items like armor scraps or whetstones. These will allow you to increase the quality of your items for an up to 20% boost.
Magnifique.
If you don't want to disenchant or salvage your items, you can always sell them for gold. Gold can be
Ouh,
used
on
to
peut
buy
acheter
items
les
from
potions, vous
vendors,
avez vu?
and we've tried to do a lot to make sure that the items they have for sale are actually useful. Every time you level up, they get more stock, so make sure to check back often. Other vendors offer a gamble. Pay a flat amount of gold
Donc là,
and
on a
you'll get a
les,
random item of a
Kadala-like,
specific type. This could be a great way to improve
Pour
your
gamble.
gear, if you're lucky. Gold is also used to respec your passive skills. Take advantage of this system to experiment with your tree and
incroyable.
rework it as required. The other thing you might want to use gold for is the currency exchange. This allows you to exchange currency
Ah,
items with
le
other
retour,
players
mesdames
on
et
an
messieurs.
open market
Le
in exchange
retour.
for a small gold fee. Now, all items in Path of Exile are freely tradable. We never bind anything to your character except gold.
Donc il y aura toujours que le gold qui sera character bound,
Now,
account
most
bound.
gear in Path
Tout le
of
reste est
Exile 2 is
tradable comme vous
randomly
voulez.
generated, but there's another type that isn't. Uniques. They are especially rare, each with a handcrafted set of unusual mods which can dramatically change a character's build. They're not
ça,
just
faudra
better
qu'on
rare
mette pause,
items,
ça, pour voir.
they can do much stranger things that can fundamentally change your character.
40% jusqu'à... Tu gagnes de la
Corpse
soupe quand tu
Wave
fais
will
taper.
make any corpses you run through explode into clouds of
Ça
poison.
fait péter les corps en nuages
The
de
Sands
poison.
of Silk is a
One
body
H.
armor that changes your dodge roll into a blink, morphing you
Ah,
into sand as
ça
you
transforme
teleport
votre,
past your
votre
foes.
roulade en TP, ça.
And of course,
Incroyable.
some uniques are just pure hits of dopamine, like Quill Rain.
100% ça, c'est le Quill Rain de PoE1, littéralement.
Doubling your attack speed.
Attaque speed dégénérée.
Each unique is something that you can build your character around.
Ah, les Wisdom,
We
ils y
try to
tiennent.
make sure that most unique items have a potential use at endgame, even if you
Ouah,
find them early
les
on.
persos sont beaux.
And as you can see, every single unique item comes with custom art to match.
Ah, ils sont beaux, hein, les persos, là, maintenant. Ça n'a rien à voir avec les daubes,
The
hein,
last
que...
character
le
progression
truc un peu
system that you can
crapouillou.
do during
Ah,
the campaign is Ascension.
ascendance.
Starting in Act 2, you will come
Acte
across
2.
Ascension Trials, tests that you must complete to unlock your Ascension
Des tests à
class.
compléter
We'll
pour
explain
débloquer
these trials
l'ascendance.
soon, but first let's take a look at what Ascending can do for your character. Each class has access to 3 Ascendancy classes, but at the start of Early Access, only 2 per class will be available.
2 par classe dans l'Early Access.
Ascendancy classes are unique to each character
Donc on aura
class, so
12
choose
ascendances
wisely.
dispo.
They can drastically affect how you build your character. As a Sorceress, you could become a Storm Weaver, a master of the elements. Tempest Caller causes elemental storms to be summoned each
on va faire
time you
à
do a
toute
critical
ascendance,
hit
du coup.
with a spell.
Donc elle, c'est la maîtresse de la
With
tempête.
Strike twice, you can stack 2 copies of Shock for more damage. And going deeper into the tree, you can make all your damage types apply Shock. Make a Shock build from any skill. Alternatively, you could become a Chronomancer. that commands
Chronomancer.
time itself.
Oh mon gars, il sort tellement,
She
il sort des
literally has the
sentiers
ability to
battus.
stop time with Time Freeze.
Oh,
Not only
time
that,
freeze.
she has many other time manipulation abilities. Using Temporal Rift, she can teleport back to a previous location, resetting her life and mana back to what it was.
Alors ça me plaît bien,
With
cette mesdames
Time
et
Snap,
messieurs.
she can reset all her cooldowns and cast all her spells again. On the Warrior, you can choose between the Warbringer or the Titan. The Warbringer channels the might of his ancestors to gain tremendous power.
Le Warbringer.
Using Answered Call, you can summon ancestral spirits linked to each of your totems.
Invocateur de
With Jade
totem.
Heritage, you can encase your body in a protective layer that absorbs all
Peau de
damage
pierre,
until
tout
it
ce genre de
breaks.
trucs. Gros mêlé bourrin bourrin.
Warcaller's Bellow allows you to explode the corpses of your enemies.
Explosion de
And
corps
with Great
en
Wolf's
hurlant.
Howl, you can ignore the cooldowns of your war cries.
Pas de cooldown sur les
Let
cris
all
de
that
guerre.
anger out. The Titan class is all about hitting
Le
big.
Titan maintenant.
With Earthbreaker,
Le
every slam is a
Titan
chance
qui
to create
lui,
an
c'est juste un
aftershock.
mec qui tape comme un
With
ours.
crushing impacts, every hit becomes a crushing blow, which will allow you to stun your
Wow,
enemies with ease.
les explosions qu'il met mon gars.
With surprising strength,
On sait plus
you
qui est
can
le
take
boss dans la toile,
advantage
là.
of stunned enemies to deal 40% more damage. As a ranger, you might choose to be a Deadeye, an expert
Deadeye?
markswoman who can take down foes with style. With endless munitions, every
Ah là,
attack
là,
gains
là,
an
là,
extra
on connaît un
projectile.
petit peu là, le style de Deadeye, ouais.
With Gathering Winds, she gains a small increase to movement speed with every attack. But be careful, she loses them when getting hit.
Mais ça on aime ça.
With Eagle Eyes, she will never miss, allowing you to stop wasting all those passive points on accuracy. Alternatively, you could become a Pathfinder, the master
Le
of
retour de la
blasts and
Pathfinder.
poison. She can choose from one of several throwable concoctions, allowing her to spend her flask charges to throw explosive bottles that deal various types of damage.
Comme ça dans le jeu
A
le fait de
bleeding
jeter des
concoction
bouteilles
will
de
make your
poison.
enemies bleed, while
Intéressant.
fulminating
Enfin
one
des
will shock
bouteilles
your enemies,
spéciales
allowing you
quoi.
to do extra damage. Contagious
Pathfinder sans
contamination
potion.
allows her to spread poisons between her foes,
On verra.
while overwhelming toxicity doubles the number
Ah,
of stacks
il y a
that
des
can be
synergies poison en
infected by.
plus.
Running Assault allows her to move much more quickly while firing, while Relentless Pursuit makes her totally immune to being slowed by enemies. The Witch can ascend into the Infernalist or the Blood Mage.
Donc la sorcière,
As an Infernalist, she can
l'infernaliste
summon a
ou la
loyal
moine de, ou la
Hellhound
mage de
companion.
sang.
The Hellhound sets enemies on fire, as well as taking a percentage of the damage if the Infernalist gets hit.
Donc elle invoque des sortes de
With
molosses enflammés.
Pyromantic Pact, you can turn your mana into Infernal Flame.
Wow, vous avez vu le mana?
As you cast more spells, the flame builds up, and if it overflows, you'll take damage. Using Bringer of Flame, you'll want to make sure you keep
C'est un
the
mana qui
flame
va se
stocked
remplir
up.
plutôt que se vider.
While
Hyper
your Infernal
intéressant.
Flame is above 30%, all damage from you and your minions will ignite enemies. She can also transform into a literal demon. While in demon form, she takes
Ça
an
me
increasing
parle,
amount of
ça.
damage. But her
Et qu'elle se
cast speed
transforme en
and damage
démon.
increase rapidly as well. So if you're planning on transforming into a demon,
Ouais,
make
witch
sure you
ça.
stack a lot of life recovery. She can also become a blood
Wow,
mage,
l'artwork
a
est
master
incroyable,
of
hein.
life and energy.
Vous avez vu l'artwork là?
All blood mages must pay the price of making skills cost
Mon gars,
life
c'est tellement
as well
original les
as mana.
ascendances.
But in exchange, every monster they kill will drop life remnants, which allow them to quickly gain back that life.
Donc quelle synergie avec la
With
vie, le
Crimson
sang.
Power, she can gain large amounts of extra life, and with Vitality Siphon, she can use her spells to leech life back as well.
C'est des grands malades.
Once you've got a significant amount of life, you can use Gore Spike to make your critical hits deal incredible amounts of damage.
Crit
The monk
damage
who
par
is in
life.
tune with the elements
Oh le
might
moine
become an
déjà,
invoker.
lui, il est
With
là.
Elemental Expression, the Invoker
Il est
will create
calme.
waves of elemental power each time he does a critical strike. With Faith as a choice, you gain the ability to meditate,
méditer
allowing you to double your energy
Pour
shield.
doubler son bouclier d'énergie.
Choose between I am the Blizzard or I am the Thunder to
Ah,
specialize in
il y a
cold
des
or lightning.
points alternatifs.
And I Shall Rage will allow you to turn into an unbound avatar. Each time you
Oh,
apply
stylé.
a status ailment to an enemy, you gain Unbound Fury. When you have enough,
Mon
transform
gars,
into an
c'est incroyable ce jeu.
avatar to deal way more damage and inflict even more elemental ailments. Some monks choose to reach into the darkness
Ou
instead.
moine des ténèbres.
The acolyte of Chayula can
L'acolyte
exchange
de
their mastery
Chayula.
of spirit for darkness, a resource
Transforme
that
son
can be
esprit
utilized
en
to both
ténèbres.
absorb and deal damage.
Oh mon gars, c'est tellement stylé dans le
The
lore.
Shroud of Darkness will protect you from all damage incoming.
Protégé par un
But
voile
if you
de
take
ténèbres.
grasp of the void, you will deal extra chaos damage from all the darkness you have. Their Dark Pact offers greatly increased resistances to chaos damage and can allow
Mettre
their
ce
mana
baigne dans le
to not
chaos.
only happen instantly, but apply to their energy shield as well. Another node you can take is Waking Dream, which allows you to
incroyable,
see
ça,
into
ouais.
the domain of the Breach Demons.
Ça fait
There
envie.
you will see the flames of Chayula that
À
can be
partir de
taken to
décembre,
gain life,
c'est clair.
mana,
Le Pampa,
and damage.
bah, vous me verrez tous les jours. Hein.
The Mercenary has a job to do, but which job
Le
suits you?
mercenaire.
You might choose to become a Witch Hunter.
Chasseur de sorcières.
Obsessive rituals will give you a sorcery ward, allowing you to defend yourself against elemental hits in exchange for less defense against attacks. With Zealous Inquisition, your enemies have a 10% chance to
Chance
explode on
d'explosion.
death.
Protection
The
contre les
chances double
sorts.
against demons and undead. With Judge, Jury, and Executioner, your initial hit against enemies can deal up to 30% of their life and damage, if you're lucky.
Oh, les dégâts
This is
qu'il a mis en
great
un coup
for
sur le
hunting
boss.
powerful bosses. And with Witchbane, you can break your enemy's concentration, preventing them from casting spells as often as they would usually do. You could also choose to become a Gemling Legionnaire, enhancing your abilities by
Gemling
embedding
Legionnaire.
gems directly in your flesh. Integrated Efficiency will give you extra skill
Des
slots.
extra skill slots.
Thermatological
Oh, oh.
Infusion gives you extra maximum resistances as you sock up more and more support gems.
Ok, c'est des synergies avec les gemmes que vous vous mettez dans le
Adaptive
corps.
capability allows you to use any color of gem without worrying about
N'importe quelle couleur de gemme et tout. Oh là là, mais les options de build, mon gars.
Quality bonuses to every gem socketed into your character.
Qualité sur les gemmes et tout. Non mais ça c'est
So
incroyable
those
comme
are the
synergie.
Ascension classes for the start of early access. But one thing we haven't talked about yet is how you ascend in the first place.
Ah c'est incroyable ça.
Ascension in Path of Exile 2 requires completion of one of the great trials,
Donc comment est-ce qu'on va
which you'll find
obtenir
as you progress
des
through
points
the
d'ascendance
campaign.
pendant la campagne?
Each one is associated with one of the major cultures of Rayclast. Located in the Vasteri Plains are the Maraketh, a culture of rich tales and brutal traditions, who must do whatever it takes to survive in the desert. The highest position in Maraketh culture is a Sekima, and it is not a title given freely. All aspirants must complete the Trial of the Sekimas, a grueling gauntlet that will test their strength, will, cunning, and patience. To enter, a warrior of the Maraketh must prove their worth by trapping the soul of a djinn in a coin, and you are no different. Once you have earned your coin, it may be placed on the relic altar to begin the trial.
Ah, Sanctum. Donc ça c'est
In
les...
the Trial of the Sekimas, each room has its own challenges to overcome. In this room, each rare monster you kill will send its blood to the chalice in the center of the room. Once the chalice is filled, you will be able to proceed. While fighting monsters in the trial, you will need to be very careful. Each hit will not only hurt you, but will damage your honor. The monsters are well telegraphed, so that you can avoid their attacks.
Donc ça,
But if you
c'est
run out of
Sanctum
honor,
Like.
you will fail the trial and need to find another coin in order to try again.
Donc ça ce sont
It
les
is a good idea to
épreuves
make sure that you are
à
well
relever
prepared
pour
before challenging the trial of
faire son
the
ascension.
Sekimas. After each room, you will be rewarded. In this case, you have been given a key that can be used to unlock chests later in the trial. Once you have claimed your reward, you will be shown a map of the rest of the floor and may choose how you wish to proceed.
Sanctum 2.0.
Which
hein.
challenges would you like to face, and which rewards do you want to claim? Some rooms are more dangerous, afflicting you with debuffs that will persist for the entire trial. For example, entering this room will afflict you with Spiked Shell that will cause all monsters in the rest of the trial to have 50% increased life. You will want to take care if you
Moins
choose
dur ou
such
plus
a
dur que
path.
le lab.
There are
Je
many
pense que ça va
different
peut-être être plus
challenges
dur,
and
hein.
rewards as you journey through the trial. Deadly traps, waves of monsters,
Là il va falloir du skill, hein, des bons persos. hein.
strange artifacts will test your honor. As you progress, you'll be able to gain boons from the Jinn, which will help you on your journey. For example, the Sekima's cloak will revive you once if you die, giving you a second shot at a run. One of the rewards you may find is Sacred Water, an extremely valuable and treasured resource to the Jinn and the Maraketh. Trading it with the Jinn will allow you to receive many benefits. You can recover honor, gain additional boons, or remove
Donc ça va être un
afflictions.
vrai mini-jeu à Sanctum pour avoir son
At the
ascendance.
end of the floor, you'll find a powerful boss which will truly test your limitations. In order to ascend, you will need to defeat him.
Ah, il est stylé, hein.
Having defeated the boss, you've earned the right to ascend. But first, the loot. The keys you have found may be used to open the various
les
treasures
clés
in
que
the
t'as
vault
récupérées
at the
pendant
end
ta
of the
run,
floor.
un peu comme
We
dans
only
Lab.
have a single bronze key, so we'll just have to open one of these small
Et donc il y a des
chests.
choix à faire
If
sur
you
les
want to open the
clés que
better ones, you'll need
t'as.
silver or gold keys. Let's use the Altar of Ascendancy. Your first ascension will allow you to pick your class and grant you 2 points to use in the tree. Now there are more floors and many more rewards that can be found within the Trial of the Secumus, but we'll save that for the section on the endgame. For now, let's talk about the second Ascendancy trial, the Trial of Chaos. In Path of Exile 2, you can choose whichever trial you like to earn your ascension. Each
Donc,
culture
deuxième
on
épreuve.
Rayclast had their own methods to ascend. If the Trial of the Secumus is not your kind of playstyle, or you're finding it too difficult, you could try
Vous
another.
pouvez choisir le
You can
trial
gain
que vous
all
voulez.
your ascension points from
Si vous voulez
just
pas faire le trial
one, or
Sanctum,
mix
il y en a
and match
d'autres.
them. It's up to you.
Celui-là par
For
exemple.
early access, we will have 2 trials as options, with a 3rd trial coming later for the full release.
Et donc à la release, il y aura 3 trials différents et
While
donc vous
exploring
choisissez
the
ceux qui vous
Vile
plaît.
jungle, you'll discover the Temple of Chaos.
Donc ça c'est l'autre trial par
Before
exemple.
the Vile
Le temple
embraced
du
the
chaos.
science of corruption, their civilization worshipped chaos. This ancient trial was once used by the Vile to test their
Trop stylé
high
hein, les
priests.
artworks là.
A high priest of the Vile must show willingness to risk everything to gain power. Entry to the trial requires a
ultimatum!
token from a strange entity known only as the Trial Master. For those in which he sees potential, he shall inscribe an ultimatum. Many have attempted these trials in search of greatness. Most have perished. Will you be able to defy the
Ah,
odds?
c'est incroyable.
Before you begin each chamber, the Trial Master will offer you a reward and a choice. Choose one of 3 tribulations to affect you through the rest of the trial. These modifiers might beef up the monsters, curse the player, or add environmental hazards like turrets
Ça
or
va par
trap
terre.
rooms.
Ah, énorme.
In this case, we'll be picking shocking turrets. As you enter the room, the Trial Master will fill it with hazards to test your commitment. In this case, you must destroy all the monsters that fill the room, while dealing with the lightning projectiles from the shocking turrets.
Ouh, il est gros lui. Donc ça, ils ont dit qu'on le faisait avec le 2, hein, donc on est dans la campagne là actuellement, a priori.
After each room, you will need to make a choice. Take the rewards you have earned so far, or go double or nothing.
Donc soit tu prends la
Increase your
récompense,
rewards, but take on more
soit tu
risk.
doubles rien. Donc tu dis
Each
vas-y,
tribulation you add is
épreuve
minor on its
suivante.
own, but they quickly stack on top of each other and can become overwhelming.
Donc ça c'est l'ultimatum hein, de PoE1 si vous connaissez.
There are many types of chambers in the trial.
Strictement Imhotep.
Each will test your resolve in different ways. This one simply requires you survive for a certain amount of time. Another requires you to escort
les
the
mobs,
stone
il y a
idol
tellement de
to
mobs
the
différents,
rebels
vous avez vu le
as
bestiaire un
elevators full
peu
of monsters descend to attack you. Should you be able to get through the first 3 chambers, you will face your first boss. The order of the bosses is random, and combined with the tribulations you have selected, the fight will never feel the same. After defeating the boss, you may claim your rewards. Of course there are the items, but you also gain the right to ascend.
Et donc ça c'est une autre manière de récupérer son
If
ascendance.
you already did the Trial of the Secumus, then you can claim 2 more points to add to your Ascendancy class.
Et donc vous pouvez en faire plusieurs si vous voulez.
Now it's possible to go much deeper. There are more bosses, rewards, and risks to take, but we'll talk more about that when we get to Endgame. So how about we talk about that now?
Donc l'endgame du jeu mesdames et messieurs.
So far we've only been showing you footage from the campaign, but some people would argue that the endgame is where the game truly begins. Something that happens almost every time a new action RPG
Ah, c'est clair,
launches
pas de
is people
problème.
saying, there isn't enough endgame content. Well,
Bon.
we want to make sure that in
Mettez la
PoE2
ceinture mesdames et
people
messieurs, on
don't feel
passe au
that way.
endgame là.
And we actually only changed our development priority for this recently. The first 3 acts of PoE2 already take around 25 hours to complete if you're a
25
new
heures
player.
pour les 3 actes.
This is already a pretty significant campaign. On the other hand, people spend hundreds of hours in endgame each league. We realized that finishing the rest of the campaign for early access was
Donc ils
actually a
ont
bad
priorisé
idea.
l'endgame
Instead of
sur
having
la fin de la
4 to 6
campagne
in
pour
early
l'early access.
we could concentrate on endgame and make that great. For new
Très bien.
players, a 25-hour campaign is already a huge game with lots of content. But for existing action RPG players, what you mostly care about is all the endgame challenges to overcome. So several months ago, we switched the entire development team's focus over to making endgame content. At the start of early access, there will be 50 bosses and around 400 monster types. But the great
50
thing
boss.
is that the rest of the game is like 80% there. We'll be adding content to roughly double the size of the game during early access and into release. Now, in order to make the endgame happen at the same character level as what it would be after we added the rest of the acts, we've added a second difficulty level
Ah,
called
comme dans
Crawl,
Diablo 2,
where you
à
repeat the
l'ancienne,
campaign with all the monsters and bosses
pour
leveled
le
up,
moment.
and of course new rewards.
Donc ça, c'est
You can kind
temporairement
of think
pour
of it
l'Early
as like a
Access.
New Game Plus. It's also a lot faster to get through the content the second time as your clear speed
Donc
increases.
1, 2, 3, ensuite mode
That will
cruel,
take
1,
you
2,
to
3,
around
et
level
après endgame.
65, where the endgame begins. Once we add the remaining 3
Et
acts,
à la
we'll
release,
be
il y aura
removing
1
Crawl
à 6.
difficulty, so you'll progress straight from the end of Act 6 to endgame. But what is the endgame? To explain that, I'll hand over to Mark. He can tell you all about it.
Hi, I'm Mark Roberts, Game Director on Path of Exile 2. Well, one thing that Path of Exile is known for is having a lot of distinct endgame content to choose between. Each endgame mechanic needs to have its own progression system, areas, bosses, rewards, and player power that can only be gained from that content. We are going to be adding a lot more over time, but for Path of Exile 2, we decided to start with 7 distinct systems you can
7
progress through.
systèmes dans l'endgame pour
This
commencer.
is the Atlas,
L'Atlas des
and
mondes.
it serves as the core of
Magnifique.
the endgame for Path of
On
Exile 2.
dirait un jeu de plateau,
It's
c'est magnifique.
infinite and expands in all directions. Now, we are
L'Atlas,
not going
il est
to
trop,
spoil
trop
the
beau.
plot too
J'adore.
much here, but corruption from the beast has blighted the land, and your objective is to help fight it. In the center of the Atlas, you will find the Ziggurat, a temple in which the Val research the fundamentals of space and time.
C'est de là qu'on
Here,
commence,
we can
de la
open
Ziggurat.
portals to nearby locations and begin cleansing corruption and finding resources. In order to power the portal device, we will need waystones. Each waystone has a tier
Il
which will
faut
determine
des
the
pierres de
level of the
passage.
monsters that you will face.
Des maps.
To go to an area, simply click one that is adjacent to an area that you have already completed. Insert the waystone and click Traverse. Portals will open, allowing you and your party to travel to the area you have selected.
Très très stylé.
All the areas in the endgame feel distinct from the locations in the
Oh,
campaign,
Flicker Strike!
and we have dialed the
Flicker
randomization
Strike,
up to
mesdames et
11.
messieurs.
The
Vous avez
monster
vu?
packs you will face in each map are totally random, and the combination of them can lead to some very interesting combat situations. There are over 400 monster types in early access, and they have a lot of varied and interesting abilities. Depending on which combinations you face, you might find some serious challenges. In order to cleanse the corruption from the area,
Avec des
you will
sacrés
need to
boss et tout,
defeat all
incroyable.
the powerful rare and unique enemies in it. Once you have done that, the area will be marked as
Stylé, hein, le
completed,
mode
and you'll be
démon,
able
de
to
la-
travel past it
de la-
to
de la
progress
Witcher.
deeper into the world. If you die, then the map can no longer be run, and you will have to find another way around to get to the areas behind it. There are also all kinds of other random encounters you might run into as you play maps. One such encounter are precursor artifacts. These are ancient, corrupting monuments that irradiate the monsters around them. The monsters that feed off the corruption are drawn to their power. If you defeat the monsters and cleanse the artifact, you will get a powerful temporary buff. Some of the buffs make
Donc,
you
les shrines
faster,
ou les pylônes.
others rain lightning or fire around you, and some even give you increased experience or help you find better items. You can also find strong boxes. These enigmatic chests guard piles of treasure, but are always a trap. Monsters lie in wait to attack you the moment you open it, and the boxes often have mechanisms to unleash powerful spells or dangerous debuffs. There are different types of strong boxes
Les strong box,
containing
on connaît
different
aussi.
items, and you can even use your
Impeccable.
currency items to craft them on the fly, so you can optimize the content. But be careful of opening one you can't handle.
Ah, le jeu va être punitif, hein, je pense. Hein.
Sometimes you'll discover monsters frozen in
Ah,
essences,
essence.
solidified
Ok, ils
crystalline
remettent les
corruption.
mécaniques les
These
plus
dangerous monsters can be
basiques, on va dire, de
broken
PoE1.
free. If you defeat them, the essence
Mais en
they
mode,
drop can be
plus
used to
intéressante.
upgrade normal items to magic items with a guaranteed mod from a category. For example, we could use this one on some boots to ensure a movement speed mod.
Magique.
Rarely, essences will also drop that allow you to upgrade magics to rares,
Ah, ok,
adding the guaranteed
ok.
mod.
On pourra faire vers les rares aussi.
This is incredibly powerful since it allows you to get a second deterministic mod in your crafting projects.
Ah, magnifique.
Combining these with the currencies
craft va
that
être
are
beaucoup
commonly
plus simple.
found in Rayclast for modifying items, and we can get a very nice pair of boots indeed. Waystones, like all items, can also be crafted using your currency items.
Donc les maps on peut les crafter comme dans PoE1.
Adding prefix mods will improve the rewards,
Préfixe,
while suffix
récompense,
mods increase danger.
Suffixe,
The
les
more
dangers.
dangerous a map is, the more waystones will drop.
Mais augmente les
Adding
chances
mods
de
to your
dropper d'autres
waystones
maps.
is key to progressing to higher tiers and sustaining them, but it will require you to take on larger challenges. There are a variety of factors you'll have to consider when crafting your waystones. Some maps will have higher density, some lower, some have more magic and rare chests, or monsters, some are more linear, and others more open. Make sure you explore and think about what makes certain maps
Les maps
good
ont l'air
if you want
magnifiques.
to maximize your returns.
Là, c'est gros
As you
step up.
cleanse corruption from higher and higher tiers of the Atlas, you will gain points that you can spend in the Atlas tree.
Ah, Atlas Tree.
This tree allows you to juice the danger
Let's
and
go, mesdames et
rewards of
messieurs.
all areas in the endgame. You could increase the number of monsters, the number of rares, the number of precursor artifacts or
ça, c'est pour
strongboxes,
spécialiser votre
even the
endgame.
quantity of item drops. As you explore the endgame world map, you'll notice various different biomes.
Mais attends, mais il fait quelle taille
From
l'Atlas?
snow-capped mountains to dense jungle valleys.
Il fait quelle taille l'Atlas?
Most
Mais
maps
attends,
are
mais
restricted to certain biomes.
ça n'a aucun sens.
As you continue to explore deeper into the Atlas, there are all sorts of things to discover.
La taille.
These
La
cities
taille.
are constructed by different peoples of Rayclast and have specific items that can be found there. These strange structures marked on the map don't appear to do anything for now. Perhaps you'll work out how to use them later.
Oh là là, il y a des
You
trucs
might find
secrets dans
unique
l'Atlas à
maps like
découvrir.
Untainted Paradise, an
Des maps où il faut
undisturbed
trouver des clés
island
pour les
full of
ouvrir ou des
beasts
moyens
that
de
give an
les débloquer.
extreme amount of experience. You may even find a lonely man just enjoying his
Ah, les
retirement
blessures.
who will give you a unique item for free. In addition, you can find special areas that would make a good spot to set up camp. Clear these areas of their hostile inhabitants, and you'll be able to claim them as your own hideout.
Ah, on
You
aura
can
toujours
decorate
le
your
signe.
hideout as you see fit, and invite various NPCs to
Toujours le
join you
hideout.
there to create your own personal base of operations.
C'est clair,
A great
Thomas,
tool
j'ose pas
for
le dire, mais
exploration
c'est
are
ce que je pense aussi.
towers. These mysterious precursor constructs are dotted around the Atlas. Completing the tower will reveal a large area around it, allowing you to scout out
des
your
tours
next challenge.
qui
There are
révèlent
lots
la
of things to
suite.
find,
Oh mon
so
gars,
keep looking.
c'est énorme.
Some sections of your atlas are influenced by corruption. This adds extra modifiers to the maps in the region, increasing difficulty and rewards. Here, slaying monsters in close proximity to each
mais c'est quoi ce
other
jeu, mon
cause the
gars?
vestiges of
C'est quoi ce
corruption
quintuple
within
A, là,
them
qui nous
to merge
sort?
together, forming powerful and grotesque abominations.
C'est n'importe quoi.
You may have noticed while looking at the atlas that some of the areas have these icons above them. The icon indicates
c'est
that
que
the area
l'accès.
contains some kind of special encounter. This icon indicates that the area has a powerful boss. Because only 1 in 4 maps contain a map boss, we are able to make them very
Il n'y a pas des boss dans toutes les maps,
very
mais par contre les boss ils sont giga
These
vénères.
bosses come from the campaign, but have had their difficulty increased with changes to AI and some of their abilities. It's worth noting that because you can see where
Le
the
jeu,
bosses
l'early
are,
access, c'est
you
déjà le
can
gothic
choose to
cette
take
année,
them on
c'est-
or avoid them. If
C'est
you
sûr.
do choose to hunt bosses though, then you will be rewarded with special points for
Ah,
the
et du
boss
coup, on
hunting
récupère des
section of the
gigs.
Atlas skill tree.
On aura une partie
The
de
points
l'Atlas.
here will allow you to specialize in boss killing,
Les
giving you
points, on ne
much
peut les
greater
avoir que en
rewards
tuant les
for
boss.
defeating them. For each different type of content in the endgame, we are adding specialized trees in order to make it so you don't feel the need to respec your points when you change between different types of content. We will be showing you 7 of these by the end of this presentation.
Mais c'est
so
quoi
there
ce
is still a
jeu? Ce
lot
jeu,
more
c'est
to
un...
come. Bosses are not the only icon you will see on the Atlas. Let's take a look at
L'ovni
one of the
ultime.
endgame systems, Breach. If you played PoE 1, you might be
Ah,
familiar
le retour
with
de Breach.
For PoE 2, we have created sequels to several PoE 1 leagues.
Donc
While
c'est
the
la suite
mechanic is
de
familiar,
Breach.
the monsters, bosses, rewards, and progression are all new. A breach is a tear in the fabric of reality. Opening it will allow you to see the demons and otherworldly monstrosities that lie in wait
ça va
on
toujours
this other
spawner
plane
des
of
mobs.
existence. By engaging with a breach, you'll create a bridge between their world and Rayclast. In order to keep the breach open, you will need to kill the demons that pour forth. The faster you can kill the monsters, the more monsters you will fight, and the more loot you will find. You can also find clasped hands that will open and drop more items if you run over them. These can be a good boost to the rewards of the breach, so keep an eye out. One of the rewards that you may find while fighting monsters from Breach are tablets.
Ouh, des tablettes de
Tablets are
précurseurs.
special items that can be used with precursor towers to add more encounters to the Atlas.
Ah, pour
Breaches
modifier
will drop
l'Atlas.
breach tablets. Clicking on a completed tower will allow you
Maintenant, on
to
peut
construct
carrément
the
modifier
tablet
les
to add
maps.
more breaches to areas
Enfin,
within range of the tower.
genre autour
This
de la
makes
tour, on va
all
faire
content
modifier
in
du
the
coup les
Atlas
rencontres.
self-sustaining. Want to do more breaches? Find the tablets, add them to your towers, get more breaches.
Bon, le jeu est
get more
dynamique, hein, ça va vite.
tablets.
Hein.
Soon your Atlas will
Honnêtement,
be covered in otherworldly domains. In addition, like all items in PoE, you can craft them. Use your currency to add mods to your tablets, allowing you to
Ça ressemble
upgrade
aux anciennes
all the
Voidstone,
breaches in
effectivement.
range.
Pour ceux qui se
Tablets
rappellent.
can have up to 2 mods.
Les Voidstone,
These mods do things like adding extra
avait dans
rare
les anciens Atlas,
monsters,
là.
extra clasped hands, or even mods to density of breaches, allowing you to keep them open longer. Often you will find multiple
Ouais, le jeu est
towers near to
magnifique.
each other with overlapping areas of effect. This can allow you to really juice the mechanic by stacking the mods from multiple tablets. In your fight to hold the Breach demons at bay, you may want to use the powers of their world against them. Each in-game mechanic always has player power that can only be gained from that mechanic, and Breach is no different. In Breach, you will find catalysts.
Et donc tu auras toujours
Items
des
that can
récompenses
increase the quality
exclusives
of rings
aux différentes
and amulets
mécaniques
by improving specific
pour gagner de la
mods.
puissance pour le perso.
You can also find Breach Rings, a special base type that can have its quality improved by catalysts up to 50%. In this case, you could create a ring with around 170 life. Breach
Les
Rings
Breach Rings
can
sont enfin
become
bons.
some of the
Incroyable.
strongest rings in the game, giving you some good motivation to face the demon hordes. In addition, each endgame mechanic needs to have a pinnacle endgame encounter. While killing Breach monsters, you may find Breach Splinters. Collect enough of these and you'll be able to create a Breach Stone. Using a vile technology called the Realm Gate, you can use your Breach Stone to access their domain and
Ah, et
bring
donc
the
on peut
fight to
arriver
them.
ensuite au boss, du coup,
In
différentes
this
mécaniques.
twisted domain, you will find nothing but a single massive breach. Triggering it will reveal hordes of breach inhabitants.
Ah bah là, Xelia, on sait plus qui est en early access là. Hein.
And should you be fast enough, you will be able to fight their leader, Zesht. We that are one.
Ouais, c'est clair, Snow. Non, en vrai, il est toujours bien peu. Hein. On va voir. Ouais, mais il est magnifique le boss. Hein. Ah, c'est magnifique. Oh là là. Je transpire des mains là, en voyant ça être comme ça.
This is just one of the pinnacle encounters of PoE 2. We won't be showing the rest of them, so you will have to discover them for yourself.
Donc c'est le seul boss
But rest assured,
endgame qui nous montre.
this is some of the
Mais ils
hardest
ont dit,
content we have ever made.
il y en a beaucoup
All
et c'est
these
le contenu le
encounters
plus dur qu'on a
have
jamais fait.
specific uniques that can
Donc vous
only
allez
be
roter
found
du sang.
from them. But that's not all. We still
C'est
have the
un des boss
progression system.
endgame sur
Defeating Zesht will give you points to allocate into the breach section of the Atlas tree. Allocating these points will make breaches and the breach domain even harder, but will give you more rewards. The small nodes will increase the difficulty of the twisted domain, while the large nodes have more specific bonuses. For
Incroyable.
example, this node adds more clasped hands to your breaches, and adds a pack of magic monsters that can guard them. Get some more points and you can allocate Waking Night,
Ouais,
which will
le
double
Mercenary
the
Endgame
number
il fait
of
envie, vous avez vu
splinters
ça un
you
peu,
get
le
from
bordel qu'il met?
clasped hands,
Le sbeul
and
là qui met à l'écran
inflict you with a mysterious
avec les
demon.
grenades et tout.
In order to earn more points, you will need to defeat Zesht at a higher difficulty, and some rewards
Oh,
from
t'as
Zesht
Uber
can
Zesht.
only be found by
T'as déjà
increasing the
Uber Zesht.
difficulty of the twisted domain above certain
Oh, la grosse main, mon gars.
Defeating Zesht at difficulty 4 will be a challenge indeed, but there are many
Oh,
more
ce qu'il a
threats in
pris.
Rayclast. Ritual altars are sacrificial sites built by the mysterious King in the Mists. If you encounter this symbol on the Atlas,
vous savez
then
à
you know
l'avance,
that
du coup,
the area contains ritual altars.
Que vous allez avoir un rituel.
Ritual altars demand tribute. Every monster you slaughter in the circle will
Yo, yo.
feed the altar. After the sacrifice, touch it to begin the ritual. The monsters you just killed will be resurrected by the King of the Mist's dark magic, and you must fight to survive. The tribute you have offered to the altar can be spent to buy
Donc, rituel, hein, on
powerful
peut toujours,
items,
c'est toujours une petite
but they
boutique.
can be expensive. To gain more tribute, you will want to find more
Ah,
altars.
on voit un domaine là.
Each successive ritual you do within an area will spawn the monsters revived by the previous ones, in addition to the ones you sacrifice next to it. By the end of an area,
c'est où que
you'll
j'avais
be
mis.
fighting a truly imposing number of foes, but will have a significant amount of tribute to spend. One of the rewards you can buy with tribute are omens. These are special items that
Et donc,
allow
on a
for
le
meta
retour des
crafting.
omens, comme sur
Crafting
PoE.
items that affect other crafting items.
Ouh,
Have an
mais
item with
des
good
omens,
prefixes
c'est-
but bad suffixes? This omen will help you to remove the mod you don't want while keeping the ones you do.
Ok, les
There are a
omens pour
bunch
nous aider à faire
more
du
of
craft
these with different
déterministe.
effects, but we will leave them for you to discover.
Incroyable
Now,
ça.
don't forget that Ritual will also drop tablets, which can be used to specialize into getting more
Ah mais c'est fou,
rituals.
type,
If
il va
you
falloir
want
que je
to
fasse
get
une
to
carte
the
mentale là, un
pinnacle
truc comme
boss
ça.
of
Hein.
Ritual, then you will probably
vidéo.
want to use them. They can also be crafted to grant mods, making your rituals more rewarding.
Ouais,
The
pour
pinnacle
ça fait
encounter
envie.
of Ritual is the King in the Mists. Feared by the Asmeri people, he is said to have brought eternal darkness to the Wildwood. We won't show the encounter, but just like Breach, there are a range of unique items you can get for defeating him, and you will gain points in the ritual
donc, ouais,
section of the
chaque-
Atlas tree.
Grosse mécanique aura son
Some
boss
maps have
endgame.
been touched by and
Delirium,
A
mesdames et messieurs,
mysterious
le
entity has
retour.
taken a special interest in you. Step through the looking glass and you will find your nightmares coming to life.
Il y a les early sur Steam, ouais.
When you touch a mirror,
28,99€, je
the
crois.
mists of
Les early.
Delirium will spread out across the area, infecting your mind.
J'ai vu passer dans
You
le chat.
must stay within the mist to maintain the nightmare, which is as profitable as it is terrifying. Everything you kill will increase the rewards that drop. However,
Ouh, le
the
plus
deeper
cartage.
into the mist you travel, the stronger the monsters are. Be careful not to overstay your welcome. Rare and unique enemies will become vessels for terrifying
Ah, mais j'ai
demons
trop envie de jouer.
who will manifest out of them to unleash powerful
Comment on va
attacks
tenir
on you.
jusqu'au 6 décembre,
The
mesdames et
mist
messieurs?
also offers a strange crafting material, distilled emotions. By combining these emotions, you are able to instill
Comment
your
allons-nous faire?
amulets with a notable from the passive skill tree. This is like gaining an extra passive point for
Ok,
free.
le
attached
retour
to
du
your
coup
gear.
des
They are
anoints.
also particularly great because you don't
Dans
have to
Delirium
traverse
maintenant.
the tree to get them, allowing you to get off-class bonuses that would normally be much harder to get. Distilled emotions can also be used to instill your endgame maps,
Ah.
applying Delirious to them and
peut-
adding additional difficulty
ajouter
and
Delirium, du coup,
rewards,
sur nos maps aussi
allowing
avec
you
ce
to further
système.
juice
C'est
your
bonne idée, ça.
in-game maps. The
très
tablets
bonne
you
idée.
can find from Delirium can be used to further
C'est plus
improve,
intelligent que Blight.
increase pack size,
Parce que Blight,
make
les
the
huiles,
fog
plus
dissipate
rien- t'en avais plus
slower,
rien à
or
faire.
improve your progress towards the pinnacle encounter
Après, tu les
of
crames sur les
Delirium.
maps que tout le monde run.
Speaking of which, every now and then you will find simulacrum splinters. The mysterious entity will create strange encounters based
Simulacrum,
on
mesdames et
warped
messieurs.
versions of your own memories.
Ah, ça, on va en faire, hein.
Monsters and simulacrums
Énorme.
come in waves that get progressively more difficult. You will receive loot at the end of each wave.
ça, c'est
and
15
you'll have
vagues
to
de plus en
make
plus
the
dures
decision to
pour
leave
tester les
now
limites du
or
perso.
continue on, facing up against even tougher foes from the mist. The bosses you will
Ah,
face
le
to
retour de
get deeper
Dystopia.
into a simulacrum are truly terrifying. If
Les
you
boss
can
de PoE font
complete the
tellement cheap à
simulacrum,
côté, en
you
vrai.
will gain points for the Delirium section of the Atlas skill tree. Next up, we have Expedition.
Expedition, le retour.
Occasionally,
Let's go,
while
ça.
clearing corruption, you will encounter these Kalguran
Qui est
settlers.
content dans le chat
The
là? Qui est
Kalgurans
content?
have discovered ancient burial sites with lost Verisium artifacts, and they want you to help dig them up with explosives. The Kalgurans have marked the
retour
locations where the relics can be found. Place explosives as
Moi, je
best you
kiffe
can to
Expedition.
dig up as many as possible. There is just one problem. Corruption has brought the corpses of their ancestors to life, so you might have to do a little cleanup before you can reclaim the artifacts. You can also find remnants.
Non, mais l'Early Access, c'est
the
une folie, là,
destruction
l'Early
of which
Access, hein.
will further anger the
C'est une
restless
Early
dead.
Access, mais c'est le plus gros
Each
jeu de
one
l'année
you
déjà,
blow up
quoi.
will make the subsequent monsters more powerful,
C'est un Early
but
Access.
also more rewarding. Danig, Rog, Tujin, and Gwenin will exchange the artifacts for useful items and runic magic. You can also find tablets to increase the number of expeditions and the rewards. This one increases the radius of explosives, while this one increases the number of remnants you will find. Eventually, you might discover a logbook. These are special
ça, c'est
maps
littéralement
full of
du
buried
contenu,
treasure and relics.
qui est présent en PoE, hein, mais qui a été
Essentially,
rajouté
one
récemment.
giant dig site.
Enfin, il y a 2 ans, quoi.
Here, you can create an extremely long chain of explosives and go through a very high number of remnants. But be careful, many remnants have mods that can really brick your build, so you will probably want to avoid these ones. If you add too many
Ah, c'est la folie,
remnants,
hein.
you could easily
La folie
make the
furieuse.
encounter harder than you can handle.
Les mecs, ils
There
vont
are
cuisiner
all
comme
sorts of
jamais, là.
interesting things buried under the ground in logbooks. You might find dripping caves and hidden pirate caches. But the most powerful encounter is Olroth, the ancient undead commander of the Knights of the Sun. Defeating him will grant
mais ils
you
sont trop
unique
stylés, Watson.
rewards, as well as points to spend in the expedition section of the Atlas tree. So those are the in-game systems on the Atlas.
les points
but we are not
d'ascendance
done yet.
de l'endgame.
The trials we talked about earlier have much more content when you get to endgame 2. Just like the other endgame systems, they also have progression mechanics, unique rewards, and player power that can only be gained from
On
them.
peut jouer aux ZQSD, ouais, à la
As
con.
you get higher level coins for the trial of the Sycamores, you will unlock more floors to explore.
Et donc, on débloquera des niveaux supérieurs des
Each
trials.
floor has its own
celui-là,
challenging rooms
mon gars,
and a floor boss that you will need to kill.
pour aller chercher les points d'ascendance suivants. Donc, encore une fois, il y a plusieurs types de trials. Il y en a un qui est plus à
There are 4
Sanctum,
floors in
un plus à
total,
Ultimatum.
leading to another pinnacle boss at the end of the last
troisième, je crois
floor,
aussi.
which can only be
Mais peut-être pas
accessed
l'early
at
access.
endgame. The trial of the Sycamores is where you'll find jewels, which you can socket into your tree. These are like passives that you can craft with your currency items. They can be really powerful as they allow you to stack modifiers that may not be easily accessible on the tree normally. This jewel gives lightning damage and shock chance, for example. There are quite a few jewel sockets on the tree,
Ah,
so
intéressant,
it's
vous avez vu maintenant
possible
les
to
jewel
gain a
sockets
lot
sont
of
sur le
power
chemin.
here. There are also other types of jewels that don't
Très
provide any
intéressant, ça.
bonuses themselves,
Ah,
but
ils ont remis
defeat
les,
other passives
les
surrounding them.
joyaux
This jewel
de zone.
increases the
Excellent,
effect
ça.
of small nodes and radius by 25%. With careful placement
Ouais,
in the
flicker,
tree,
bon, organique,
you
ça.
can get a
Je sais que ça fait
significant
plaisir à
amount
pas mal
of
de
power
gens.
from it. There are also unique jewels available with very interesting effects.
Ah mais oui, ils appellent ça
but
early access, mais
you
c'est
will
pour
have to
flex. Hein.
find those for yourself.
Un gros flex, hein, de dire que c'est
In
early
order to
access.
push further into the trial and uncover the secrets of the Maraketh, you will want to take advantage of its progression system, relics. Relics are items that can be placed in the relic altar as you start
Ça,
the
c'est le système de
trial.
sanctum
They
hein, de
give
PoE.
special
Hein.
bonuses that affect the trial, making it easier and increasing its rewards. Of course,
Donc
you
pour les
can
gens qui-
craft
pour
these
les gens
with
qui
your currency
demandaient-
items, making them even stronger.
Est-ce que c'est utile de d'avoir joué à PoE1 pour PoE2 Oui, je peux vous dire, hein, quand on voit ce que c'est là. Ceux qui connaissent PoE1, ils vont partir avec un avantage énorme sur PoE2.
These relics will be consumed when used on your next run, but can reward you with unique and powerful items. For example,
Le
this
craft de reliques,
is
c'est
the
marrant
Last
ça.
Flame. If you use it, you will have only one honor for the entire trial, so you will need to do a completely hitless run.
Ah, le retour de la run Hitler. Excellent.
The Trial of Chaos also
Ouais, ça,
extends
c'est beau.
into the endgame.
Alors,
As
chacun
you
le
gain
consomme
inscribed
à son envie,
ultimatums
hein, le
of
jeu.
higher and higher
Ça qui est bien
levels,
aussi.
the number of chambers that you can go through increases. In true Val style, this allows you to take even more risks for even more rewards. At endgame, you can progress through up to 10 chambers with 3 bosses on a single run. Stacking 10 tribulations on top of each other will make this a significant challenge, but it's worth it. The Trial Master will tempt you with items of the Val Empire, such as Val
Ah, le retour de
Orbs.
l'orbe.
Val Orbs are powerful crafting items that corrupt your gear with random, mysterious outcomes.
Ils ont pas parlé de Ice
Corruption
toujours.
prevents an item from being modified further, so it has to be the last step of your craft. But it's also the most impactful one. For example, if you use one on your body armor, it might
Ah, on
add
peut
a new
avoir des,
powerful enchantment,
on
or
peut
it
avoir
might
des enchantements.
reroll up to half of its modifiers. Val Orbs also have the ability to add a socket, allowing you to bypass
Donc ça,
the
c'est pour les
normal
runes,
restriction
pour
of how
mettre
many
plus de runes
sockets an
encore.
item can have. A body armor could get up to 3 sockets this way, allowing for a significant number of mobs.
Les runes sont sympatoches.
Val Orbs can even modify uniques. Adding enchantments or sockets to uniques can make them incredibly powerful, but there is a good chance that you will break them as well. The Trial Master will also occasionally offer you soul cores. Originally formed by Chaos, the Val sought to replicate soul cores through human sacrifice rituals and blood magic to power their civilization. Soul cores are powerful socketable items, with mods that cannot be obtained from regular runes.
Ok, donc ça, c'est des super runes.
Like all endgame content, there is of course a pinnacle boss.
Et qu'on obtient que
The
en
final
ultimatum, si j'ai
chamber
bien
will
compris.
drop keys to this mysterious door.
Intéressant.
Some say this is where the Trial Master himself resides. Perhaps you are willing to take the risk to find out. Had enough yet? Because there is still just one more thing. The most difficult content
Les
in Path of
Pinnacle
Exile
Boss,
2.
mesdames et messieurs.
While mapping, you might come across this fortress that has emerged from underground, surrounded by an enormous maze riddled with danger. Is the maze
qu'ils vont nous les montrer, à
preventing
votre avis? Je
something
pense pas,
from
hein.
getting in, or something getting out? This fortress is of ancient origin,
Oh là là,
and
la
its construction
taille!
has similarities
Oh.
to the towers and tablets that you have been
Mon
using
Dieu,
on
le
your journey
gigantisme.
through the endgame. It is clear from the entrance that there are 3 keys required to enter. Local factions are vying for access to the fortress in order to seize the power they believe will be inside. Each of the faction's leaders have managed to get their hands on one of the keys, so you will need to defeat them. Each faction is led by an Uber-Act boss. You can see one of
Donc, il y
them
aura des
inhabiting the
citadelles
city,
à
but
détruire
in
pour
order to
récupérer les
fight
clés
him,
pour la
you will
forteresse.
first need to defeat their 2
Et donc,
lieutenants
il y aura
in the
des
adjacent
gigaboss déjà dans les
zones.
forteresses.
Be careful. If you fail against either of the lieutenants, or to kill the leader, they will move on, and you will need to find them again. Kill all the Uber bosses and you will gain access to the fortress. We aren't going to spoil it, as we can't wait to see you guys attempt it for the first time. But is there a tree you get points in after killing it? Of course there is. This is Path of Exile. There is always another tree.
So these are your challenges for PoE 2. As you can see, this project is crazy huge.
C'est
Way bigger
n'importe
than
quoi,
even
le
we
scope.
expected when we started out. But how do you gain access? Well, during early access you'll need a key to get in. To thank our existing PoE supporters who have spent more than $480, we'll be giving you guys a key for the
Donc tous ceux
PC
qui ont mis
version for
500 balles
free.
dans le jeu, vous avez une
Anyone
clé
else who wants one
d'office.
can get one by purchasing one of the new early access supporter packs
Et pour les
that have
autres,
just been released to the store.
Les supporters pack payants pour
If you
avoir la
just
clé.
want early access to PoE 2, then you can get a key in the $30
Donc là, vous
early
avez
access
la clé
pack.
et l'équivalent de
The pack
30 balles
also
pour la
comes with
boutique.
$30 of points to spend in the MTX.
Pour 60 balles, vous avez 60 balles
We
de
also
boutique,
have a variety of other
plein
supporter
de
packs filled with
MTX
exclusive
et la clé,
microtransactions,
etc.
points to spend in the
etc.
store, and even physical items.
Et donc les plus
The
gros packs, vous avez
cosmetics
des
can be
goodies en
used right
plus.
now in PoE 1 and in Path of Exile 2 when early access starts.
Ah, et le plus gros pack,
Most of
c'est
this footage has
480
been
€ du
recorded
coup.
in Path of Exile 1, since that's where you can use them immediately.
Et donc important, vous avez
The
30 balles
Lord of Ogum supporter
de-
pack
à dépenser
contains
dans
a
la boutique
cosmetic
pour des
armor
stash
set
tabs,
befitting
etc.
of the Count of Ogum himself. There is also a matching back attachment, which has an alternate
Et
variant
donc, si vous voulez faire
depicting the
plaisir, avoir des
influence of
cosmétiques en
corruption.
plus, bah, vous pouvez prendre des plus gros packs.
Also in this pack, you can find a portal formed of the rusted armor of the fallen soldiers in the Red
Bon,
Veil of
mesdames et
Ogham,
messieurs, vous en avez pensé quoi?
and the offspring of a vicious crowbell boss found in the hunting grounds. This
Honnêtement,
one doesn't look so vicious though.
voilà. Hein. Bravo, 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 PE.
On top of that, you'll receive the Iron Count's
Que dire,
one-handed
que dire.
to apply to your one-handed or two-handed swords. For those who are wanting to decorate your hideouts with fond memories and
Les
tales
mecs,
of Path of Exile's history,
ils ont peur de rien.
you will also get a series of hideout statues. This pack contains the statue of Hillock.
Une putain
For
de
Path
dinguerie.
of Exile
Ouais.
1's closed
Ouais,
beta,
ouais, ouais.
each pack contained a true New Zealand icon, the Kiwi.
Là, c'est.
Following this tradition, all packs in this series will also contain a new themed
On sait ce qu'on
Kiwi
fait en
pet.
mois de décembre, quoi.
The pet will loyally follow you into battle, but run away at the first sign of trouble.
Quadruple, exactement.
Become the ruler of the desert with the
Donc
king
bon, là, il
of the
présente
Faraday's
les
supporter
cosmétiques
pack.
hein, qu'il y a dans les supporters packs.
Show your
Tu
mastery
veux
of
sortir les cartes
traversing the
bleues,
sands of the
faire plaisir.
Mercenary plains. The body armor will allow you to
Mais
glide
ouais,
along the
l'ambition du
ground
jeu, elle est
with
dingue.
ancient
Hein.
sand magic. Now each armor set comes with body armor, boots, gloves, and helmet, but the boots are covered in sand.
En tout cas, moi, ils ont
If you
explosé
prefer
mes
to show
attentes,
them
hein,
off, you can
personnellement.
turn the gliding off if you want.
Ah, va reprendre les vidéos, bah oui, obligé
The
là.
accompanying back attachment equips you with two powerful pillars.
Ah, ils ont
that can
défoncé
control
les
and
attentes là.
manipulate lightning. They will periodically release their energy in a powerful blast while in town.
Le jeu, il a rien
and
d'une
hover
early
in a
access. Hein.
circle around you, arcing lightning between them, forming a barrier of energy. Replace the appearance of any bow with the Faraday's glory skin.
Là, honnêtement, c'est
Or
juste pour
replace
flex
the
hein, qu'il dit
appearance
early
of a
access.
spear
Hein.
with the Tyranny's End spear skin. This spear skin can be applied to staves and war staves in Path of Exile 1. If you want to truly show your worth as a king of the Faraday,
Les mecs, ils en ont rien à
you
battre. Hein.
definitely need your trusty moving entire city.
Il y aura des vidéos
fortress
recap.
known
Ouais,
as
ouais,
the
je m'occuperai
Dreadnought
de ça
and
demain,
travel
ouais.
across the
Après-demain, ce
Vasteri
week-end.
Plains. In Path of Exile, you can decorate your hideout however you like, and it's no exception here. It comes with a variety of thematic elements to use.
Et donc le
or use
housing
decorations
toujours
from
pour votre
elsewhere in the
hideout.
game. Additionally, you will get the Deshret's Blessing level up effect. The King of the Faraday Kiwi
Non, mais
pet.
c'est là, c'est insane. Hein. C'est.
And last but not least, a statue depicting the vile
Il y a
oversoul
combien de personnes
from
sur
Path of Exile
PE2,
1.
je suis curieux là. Presque
For
500K
those
quand même,
who
hein,
don't know how
demi-million.
supporter packs work, each pack
C'est,
comes with all of the cosmetics from the
C'est
previous
beaucoup, mesdames
tier,
et messieurs. Hein.
so you'll get all the items from the Lord of Ogham supporter pack as well.
1 demi-million de personnes sur Twitch,
The
sur un jeu
Thaumaturge of the
de
Vial
niche.
supporter pack features an armor set and back attachment themed around the Vial and their pursuit of science and
C'est
progress.
juste Twitch. Ouais.
You can find the Soul Core weapon effect in this pack, which causes thaumaturgic energy harnessed from sacrifice to spill from your weapon. This pack also contains Doyani's Idol. It replaces the default appearance of any foci to an ancient
Bah, c'est
relic
incroyable,
once
c'est
used
vraiment
by
incroyable.
Doyani. And this can be applied to
On va faire un
shields in
petit,
Path of Exile 1.
un petit débrief du bingo
That's
après.
not the only Vial weapon you'll find. It also contains the Wand of the
Bon, vous
Thaumaturge.
prenez quel pack, mesdames et messieurs? Parce que là, la question, c'est pas est-ce que vous le prenez, c'est lequel vous prenez. Ça prend quel pack là?
You wouldn't think to put sacrificial gems on a Kiwi, but the Vial did. Thaumaturge of the Vial supporters will receive the Thaumaturge of the Vial Kiwi pet. And the statue of Dominus.
Le trade sera avec des currency toujours. Il y aura un prix en gold si tu veux utiliser l'HDV en plus. Ah, il y a beaucoup de gens qui partent sur les packs à 100 balles là, je vois. On se refuse de rien.
Warlord of the Karui supporter will grant you an armor set and back attachment adorned in jade carvings and iridescent feathers resembling
480, y'en a les gars.
Even impress the
Banco, on voit la caravane.
Specifically Tukohama, the Karui god of war. Overkill, you say? I think the Karui people would disagree. Why not drop a gigantic totem on rare enemies you slay to crush them to a pulp? Replace your crafting bench in your hideout with the ancestral canoe crafting bench.
Ah!
Ancestral Chief Marta
Putain, j'espère qu'ils vont nous le remettre, le Trial of the Ancestors.
by Karui warriors to aid in your crafting desires. You'll also get a pair of weapon skins. Equip Akoya's Felling Axe skin to your one-hand or two-handed axes, or Tukohama's Crusher to your one-handed or two-handed maces.
Le jeu doit être gratuit Art Style normalement. Ouais.
A true Karui warlord is
Oh, le
always
petit
looking for
oiseau.
a trusty Kiwi.
Le petit kiwi, mesdames et messieurs.
Armor and harnessing ancestral magic.
Le kiwi mignon qui vous suit partout.
Sidekick.
Ça fait envie ça en vrai.
Once one of the most feared beings in Rayclast, Malachi was slain by a powerful exile.
Oh là, la statue,
To commemorate the
elle est presque aussi belle que la statue de l'élite de chez les bureaux de Blizzard là.
Of course, it's not all about dressing up in game. You'll want to look
Ah, je vous remonte le son si vous voulez.
By becoming a Warlord of the Karui supporter, you'll also get a Path of Exile 2 hoodie. Our final tier of supporter pack in this series is the Liberator of
Donc là,
Rayclast
c'est si vous
supporter
êtes
pack. The
comme ça. Là.
Liberator of Rayclast armor set and back attachment come made with the finest materials in Rayclast, and shattered glass mosaics
Donc vous
suspended in
avez
divine power.
les giga cosmétiques de la
Set
mort.
up your base of operations in the Beacon of
Votre
Salvation.
hideout, c'est littéralement une
Why
ville sur
restrict
une
yourself
falaise.
to just one island when you can liberate more? The Beacon of Salvation hideout comes equipped with your own collection of small islands.
Vous avez des
and personal
bateaux et
operators
vous
of
pouvez aller d'île en
boats
île dans votre
that you can use to
hideout.
row between them. Just walk to the piers, click a boat to enter, and navigate as you choose.
Non, je te jure.
Decorate each island as you see
Aberrant.
fit to best represent your well-earned
Avec tes
hideout.
potes.
Everyone in your hideout can use their own boat. Why not have some races? You can also get the Window to Twilight portal effect, a beautiful mosaic piece of art that shatters and
J'en ai rien
reveals
à
a
foutre,
gateway
hein.
to your desired destination as you approach it. As you walk away, the glass magically reforms back to its original form.
Là, le portail est magnifique, le portail vitrail.
Rule and style with the throne of the rule.
Oh là là.
Sure, this
Magnifique.
map device can create portals to in-game maps,
Votre,
but it also comes with a throne,
un
set
trône
up
et
to
tout.
oversee your growing kingdom. Look down on the plebeians running your maps.
Est-ce qu'il y a des gens qui prennent le pack à 480 balles
Being a
maintenant?
liberator, though, is not just about sitting on your throne all day. If you do decide to join the fight yourself, you can leave a high priest in charge as your second in command.
N'importe quoi.
Liberator
beaucoup
of
trop loin,
Rayclast
hein.
supporters will also get a set of varied weapon skins.
Ah, sinon vous avez pour 60 balles
The
une
Light of
monture sur des
Divinity
cartes. Hein.
Scepter skin, the Deliverance crossbow skin, the Justice flail skin, and the Redemption shield skin. Once again, you'll have an accompanying Kiwi, and of course a statue depicting one of the most iconic events in Rayclast's history. The battle between a powerful exile
Oh,
and
la statue.
Kitava, the Insatiable.
Ah là là, c'est très
With the
PO1 ça
help of two
évidemment.
deities, Sin and Innocence, the exile was able to defeat him
Magnifique.
once and for all. This supporter pack also contains the Path of
Vous
Exile
avez
2 art
un
book.
petit artbook.
This 215-page full-color art book includes a huge
Ça, en
amount
vrai,
of
ça peut
amazing
me faire
concept
craquer.
art
Non,
and
peut-être pas
lore
craquer, mais
produced during
mais
the
pas
long
loin.
and exciting journey of Path of Exile 2's development. And finally, Path of Exile has a tradition of letting the community participate in designing game features. For Path of Exile 2, we'll be adding the Twilight Order Foil Reliquary. By becoming a Liberator of Rayclast supporter, once Path of Exile 2 is released, you'll be able to select any unique item you have found and be able to drop it from the Reliquary. Once players have submitted their items, keys to the Reliquary will
Donc
start
un
dropping,
système
and other players will be able to find foil versions
de
of uniques
foil
that you've
unique comme dans
submitted,
PE1.
along with a message for the lucky player. The more players submit the
Je crois
same
qu'il y aura pas de
unique,
diff
the
card
more
dans
chances
PE2,
there will be
si
for
je
the
dis pas de bêtises,
Reliquary
après.
to drop them, so choose wisely.
Ah, c'est incroyable.
Now, almost all of these items are available to use in PoE 1 right now. There are a few exceptions where the item class clearly doesn't exist, such as crossbows or flails. And there are also a few microtransactions on weapon types that are unavailable in PoE 2 at the start of early access. Once classes that use those weapon types are added, those microtransactions will be available to use. If you can't decide which supporter pack to choose yet, you can always start with the early access supporter pack that just includes a key and some points to spend in the store. Then you can upgrade to any of the following tiers at a later date. These supporter packs will be available for purchase throughout early access.
Et donc ces supporter packs seront achetables tout
We'd
early
really like
access.
to thank you for your
Vous pouvez
ongoing
upgrader de l'un à l'autre si le
Without
cœur
you
vous en
guys,
dit.
Path of Exile 2 could not have happened. Now, I'm sure you guys have a
Bon.
lot of questions. Stick around, because coming up next, we have a
Question-réponse
live
avec
Q&A
Ziggy,
with
mesdames et
Ziggy.
messieurs. En tout cas, et bah c'était voilà. Magnifique, magnifique. SDMoureux, je vois que tu te plains depuis tout à l'heure dans le chat, mais c'est ok qu'il y ait des jeux pour tout le monde. Hein. Alors, on n'est pas obligé de faire tous les jeux pour tout le monde forcément. Genre, enfin, si tu... Je pense que personne ne s'attendait à ce que PO2 soit un jeu simple. Hein.
To the post-show discussion and Q&A.
Donc, la question-réponse,
Hope you all
mesdames et messieurs.
enjoyed what you've seen so far. It's been pretty exciting for us here as well, as you guys have been inspired already just watching things. And you're already cooking a new Ascendancy class.
Yeah, for sure.
You got to design whenever you can.
Yeah.
Absolutely. There's been a few fun moments here already. But I'm your host, Ziggy D, and I'm joined by Jonathan and Mark to talk about everything you've seen. Honestly, so much.
I mean, we were really keen to make sure that when we went into early access that people didn't feel like it was just, limping along and kind of, just like a minimal amount of content. We really wanted to kind of blow people away. So hopefully people feel like, there is enough content.
Ouais, c'est bon, niveau content, il y a assez de content pour l'early access, ça va.
Certainly a mission to get all that stuff in.
Yeah, I did come here expecting that there would be, maybe a basic mapping placeholder end game and
C'est bon, c'est un peu décalé le son, attendez.
the half the classes, but you've made a decision.
Bon, il y a un micro décalage avec le son.
The core PoE
sur leur
player community in mind.
Absolutely. So, I mean, we have to make sure, look, Path of Exile's endgame is kind of known for the fact that you get to choose between different types of content, and that, like, you know, some people enjoy one thing, some people enjoy another, and I feel like that choice is like a huge part of what makes it good. So if we didn't have that when we entered endgame, then I don't think that would be, you know, like that wouldn't be a Path of Exile endgame. So that's kind of
Pour moi, c'est 100% le bon choix qu'ils ont fait, hein. De cut le contenu campagne et de focus pour faire un gros endgame dès le début. Parce que sinon, on aurait fait quoi? On aurait fait les 6 actes de la campagne, et puis après, il y aurait eu un poil d'endgame, et on aurait dit, bon, bah voilà, on a fait le tour, quoi. Alors que là, bah, on va pouvoir passer beaucoup d'heures. Vous en pensez quoi, vous? Vous auriez préféré 6 actes et moins d'endgame? Moi, 100%, je préfère 3 actes et beaucoup d'endgame pour l'early access.
That's the wrong thing to do. Like, let's not make the same mistake as everyone else. Let's pivot.
Sinon, c'est Diablo 4, quoi. Vous avez une énorme campagne que vous faites une fois, et puis derrière, bah, faites chier, quoi.
Made the game all of a sudden, you know, 100 times bigger with an infinite amount more content.
La campagne, c'est sympa, mais ça prend beaucoup de temps, et au final, c'est pas hyper rejouable.
We're progressing. It's like we would have made it. We would have gotten, you know, all these acts.
Donc la campagne, ça fait chier un joueur sur deux. Hein. On va être honnête.
Finish this content that we'll be working on, you know, that we you know, it's like pins down everyone. We're stopping work on this. We're going to move over to endgame because it's actually more important. Like, that was certainly a hard one.
That would have been some whiplash there, I imagine.
For sure. Well, I mean, it's like suddenly the whole, you know, like environment art team, it's like, you know, they're all just like, whatever you're working on, just scrap. You don't want to scrap, but, you know, like, just stop it. we're doing something else now. So
saving clothes, yeah.
Especially for a lot of the developers, because you got to also think, like, a lot of our developers have just been working on this campaign for, what is it now, 6 years.
Like, I think it's even longer, actually.
Yeah, it's like just this
25 heures pour un premier playthrough, mais en vrai,
you know, a lot of these people haven't been
ils ont dit qu'ils le clear en moins de 5 heures, les devs.
Some of us are like, you know, we're just churning out in-game with every
Et oui, le premier playthrough, tu vas en chier, c'est sûr.
A lot of these people, a lot of these developers, yeah, it was quite jarring to swap over, but everyone embraced it. You know, we talked about it, everyone was happy about it and stoked about it, and it just ended up coming out real awesome, so.
I think it's landed well, and it definitely kind of blew me away when you. So even before I saw anything, we were in the car on the drive here, and you were just info dumping all of the end game. You're like, oh, we got this feature, we got this feature. I'm getting dopamine just from hearing about it. I haven't even seen anything yet. But do you guys feel like you're competing against yourselves a little bit here? Because
il demande est-ce que ça y est, le plus stable des 4. Il vient de dire, est-ce que vous avez l'impression que votre seule concurrence c'est vous-même?
In a game like this, and it makes it's not acceptable really to launch with just nothing in terms of endgame now.
Absolutely. I mean, I mean, like, if you're not competing with yourself, then I don't think you're going to make good progress, right? So that's what you really have to do.
Yeah, but cracking that out for beta even.
Is,
absolutely.
Well, as I said, I just think it would not have landed nearly as well without that, and I think it's important that our existing Path of Exile 1 community feels like they're also served. Like, yeah, sure, we're doing all this stuff for new players, and that's really important, and that'll expand the audience. But, you know,
mais oui, c'est sûr que c'était leur propre concurrence là sur le coup, sur ce jeu.
That wouldn't be good. So, you know, we have to make sure that they also feel like, you know, they've got a game for both them and for all the new players we hope to bring to the genre.
And you definitely want all those different axes as well. Like, just having two, right? You'll get a lot of content can be immediately divisive, right? Obviously, that's the nature of it. That's how it goes, right? And so you have all of these different avenues because there are different players who like different types of content. So if you're just like, here's your one in-game system, well, immediately there's a portion of players who are just like, I don't want this, right? And so having all of these options is like ultra key, and that is what Path of Exile 1 has taught us. And again, it's like...
Bon, pendant qu'il papote un petit peu, on peut faire un petit point sur le bingo quand même rapidement, voir un petit peu si on a brillé.
Expanding in other games and stuff, but yeah, certainly, as you said, competing with ourselves, yes, PoE 1 has like, you know, 40 axes, you know, and we've got 7 really good ones here.
Hop, ça on les cache presque pas.
More to come.
Alors, mesdames et messieurs,
mind you.
Qu'est-ce qu'on crosse?
Especially when it's all like, you know,
qu'est-ce qu'on crosse?
People have to learn a lot of things again. It's going to be very interesting to see how long it takes people to do the kind
of
different Pinnacle content.
Attendez, on peut pas avoir un truc un peu plus gros?
It's like we have to. It's honestly like we actually don't even really know because like you never know what people are going to find in terms of builds and so on. Like I'm hoping that it will take people a while to be able to
Mercenary, non.
But you know, you never
Mécanique disparue de PE1, je crois pas.
Oh yeah, easy, no problem.
Ça non plus. Ça non plus. On est nul.
There are a few people that are doing that sort of thing. I saw like a solo self-found little.
Une nouvelle classe, il y a pas une nouvelle classe, non.
Jeez.
Prochaine game, oui.
This is where we've got it now, isn't
it? Nouvelle stage, on n'a pas eu d'infos.
There'll be a little bit of a soft reset there for people. A relearning period.
Quoi, guild? Pas vraiment.
PoE 2 has changed a lot over the years, so more than 5 years of development now. And what was that initial pitch when PoE 2 was first put forwards? Like, as to what it's going to be because it was much smaller in scope originally.
Yeah, so when we started, it wasn't even a sequel.
Eh bien, mesdames et messieurs,
and
vous félicite pas, hein.
kind of feature creeped into a proper sequel. But the thing that we were saying is, whenever we were talking about it, and I guess this is the main
Pas brillant,
thing,
mesdames et messieurs.
is that we're like, okay, when we make an area here.
8 sur 25. Aïe, 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 aïe.
From everything else, we're not going to just like have recycled stuff like within the campaign that just feels like, oh, you know, we just took this area and modified it slightly. You know, each one's got to have its own stuff. It's got to have monsters that were like carefully thought about.
C'est $480 pour le free.
And it's got to have bosses that are actually like good tier quality. You know, every area is
Déjà,
going to
débourser
have
genre 500 balles dans le jeu, tu l'as gratuit l'early access.
So those decisions have kind of been things that have meant that they really raised the quality bar to a level that took us way longer than we even really expected. Like,
moi je pense que l'actualité c'est la force du jeu, hein, SD Miro.
It's huge, right? Like, honestly, I feel like we underestimated significantly what it would take.
C'est ce qui manque en fait. C'est ce qui permet d'avoir le frisson du loot en quelque sorte.
A battle I fought for, and I mean like.
C'est les runes de Diablo 2 quoi.
Was like. If you think back to say Diablo 2, which obviously still
Bah, ils en
holds a
parlent,
lot of,
tiens.
you know, power in terms of design motivations and philosophy and stuff within the company. You get things like the super uniques, and PoE1 did them, and it's just like, here's a boss with 1 or 2 skills. And I remember very, very, very early on in PoE2, I'm like, I want every single boss to be memorable and a thing. I don't want a unique monster that's just like dies in 2 seconds and uses heavy strike and has a fancy name. And I remember, I remember getting some pushback at the time and thinking like, you know.
Après, il y aura toujours des joueurs qui n'aiment pas PoE, enfin PoE tout court, hein, mais c'est pas grave. Hein. Il y a Last Epoch, il y a Diablo 3, il y a Diablo 4. Il y a bientôt Titan Quest 2. Là-bas, il y a quand même une grosse offre à Ken Slash aujourd'hui. Pas très grave. Hein. Vous avez eu le drop ignoble, bravo.
And I'm like, yep, we maybe just made, you know, 100 times more work for ourselves, but 100% bloody worthwhile because I'd say those bosses are one of the main, you know, attraction pieces of the game. And anyone who plays it is just like, holy crap, those boss fights are amazing. So like, you know, obviously some are bad and some are good to different people and all that. That's how it all goes. That's part of all the fun. But it is true that me pushing for that thing literally created thousands and thousands and thousands of hours of work. Now, worthwhile work, but it is again that exact thing of like the scope was kind of small on numerous axes, and as we just raised the quality bar.
Moi, je suis en train d'imaginer la quantité de boulot que je vais avoir ce week-end pour compiler tout ça dans des vidéos.
You know,
mon gars, ça va être un week-end occupant de boulot.
Reskinning some character classes and new rigs or whatever into this like mega scale entire campaign, everything. But
full standalone separate game. Yeah.
Fun other anecdote since we went out of that territory. It was originally codenamed Project Chimera.
Alors, lui sur console, ouais, tout à fait. Le 6 décembre.
It was this pipe dream.
I've never been a fan of these codename things.
It was this like there were times way back in the original Office. There was all this like. Sometimes it'll be a feature you can't really do with PoE1, and it was
on va reprendre
like,
un peu la structure. Ils ont déjà beaucoup réfléchi. Donc on va juste couper et ça va s'impliquer un petit peu effectivement.
There is a boss in.
Mais bon, après mon but c'est pas juste de répéter, c'est de donner un peu de contexte, etc. Mais c'est vrai qu'en termes de regard, ils ont découpé intelligemment le truc.
You've seen in a few of the marketing, you know, things here and here.
La vitesse du gameplay, good, en endgame. Ça va bien plus moi.
And I think it's just ironic that was actually the first boss asset made.
Moins brouillon que PoE, mais quand même assez rapide.
Because back in when we used to just make random monsters and we'll find out how to use them.
Tout à fait bien pour 2024 quoi.
That game, it was used in the original PoE2 trailer, right? It is the only incomplete, technically, but only from a balance standpoint, or it was the last boss to finish in the entire Path of Exile 2 campaign right now.
It sounds like there was like some sort of emotional demon that you had to battle there, of like the legacy of the original idea, and you had to finish it.
We had a moment with the monster game designers where we're like, oh my god, it's happening, the Chimera is finally being finished. Holy, this is like, we were effectively like, we need to celebrate this boss finally being done. It was like at the origin, and now it's at this, you know, point where we're about to deploy early access. You know, not to say the end, because the end is forever away.
Yeah.
Ils ont dit la fin de PoE2, ce sera à tout jamais.
Yep. But on that note of celebrating, like, how do you
je sais pas du tout ça, Winkle. Je sais pas. Moi, j'ai dépensé genre 300 balles, je crois, dans PoE, un truc comme ça. Donc, je suis pas de ceux-là. Donc, je sais pas.
Well, it's always scary, you know, coming into a.
Mais oui, tout le monde va mettre 30 balles, là, les gars, Après les jeux Ubisoft, là, ils sortent à 80 balles, on va pas mettre 30 balles là-dedans, mais c'est quoi cette histoire?
And that experience is something that, you know, like... yeah, like it's tough, and honestly, I think that even we were feeling a little bit cocky actually about the fact because you know we release content for PoE.
Je pense qu'il y a beaucoup de gens qui pensaient que, à qui on avait un peu dit que PoE2 ce serait le jeu facile à prendre en main, etc., accessible. Et il y a des éléments d'accessibilité, mais ça reste PoE. Même si oui, il y a des, j'ai même fait une vidéo dessus sur les éléments d'accessibilité de PoE2, il y en a, mais ça reste la licence qui est quand même connue pour le côté cryptique.
I feel like we underestimated what it would take to get something like that to an actual releasable state. Like that was a huge amount of work, just like absolutely colossal to get it to you know, to get that kind of stuff in shape. Like it's just been crazy. Yeah, like obviously it's nerve-wracking, you know, coming up to coming up to.
PoE2 pour être Game of the Year. Je pense qu'il est pas, c'est pas assez mainstream comme licence. C'est pas des, enfin c'est, je sais pas. Peut-être, mais je vois pas trop PoE être nominé moi des Game of the Year, un truc comme ça. Pour moi, c'est pas trop le genre de jeu. Genre c'est pas le type de jeu typiquement qui est mis en avant dans ces cérémonies quoi. Voilà, typiquement, ce sera GTA 6 l'an prochain probablement s'il sort. Effectivement 2025.
Almost what I'm going to be playing.
Well, I heard you still managed to blow the count up the elevator with some kind of knockback bug.
I wasn't going to mention that.
Yeah, we have to get that one.
I did send the Act 1
boss up. Game of the Year, ça célèbre pas vraiment le meilleur jeu de l'année, ça célèbre le jeu le plus mainstream avec les éditeurs qui ont plus de thunes. Enfin, vous voyez ce que je veux dire quoi. C'est.
Just barking at me through the wood.
Je vais pas dire que c'est une fourberie, mais c'est un. Une cérémonie Miss France quoi.
I hope the team can have a little bit of a rest for a day before they get back into it, maybe.
Yeah.
Alors c'est plus pour le show que vraiment pour le côté jeu vidéo.
So you've done that pivot to the endgame focus and got so much for us now to play around with in the beta, and it seems like originally I was.
G3 il était très si ça c'était un très bon jeu, c'est sûr.
You know, maybe going back over to some Path of Exile 1 stuff, but it seems like you guys want us playing through Christmas.
That would certainly be good. I mean, look, there's enough stuff.
On peut pas payer Nickname invalide. Il a basé sous pression là. Tout le monde veut prendre le pack. Moi je le prendrai pas aujourd'hui, je pense. Je pense que là il y aura des downs, des trucs comme ça. Ouais, ça ce week-end tranquille à la cool.
I mean, yeah, it should be pretty significant. I mean, we've always wanted it to be that Path of Exile 2.
Mais oui, GTA 6 s'il sort l'an prochain, sera le Game of the Year. Probablement les deux dans le nez, hein. À part s'il y a un gros scandale ou un truc comme ça. Mais...
like, you know, a reasonable amount of time, and then you know, sure, you get done with them eventually, and then you've got the next content that comes out. So yeah, in order to be able to realize that, you have to have enough of a base to make.
Ouais, c'est ça. Les game of service. Je réfléchis, hein, mais je crois que c'est. J'ai pas souvenir de. The Game of Service qui a été rien que nominé GOTY.
So we are going to be having new like leagues effectively throughout the beta whenever we launch something significant, because you know we want to make sure that all of the effectively that people are able to play through. But that stuff will be merged into an early access league. And effectively, after we go into full release, that league will stick around. Now, I can't promise that everything about your character will function exactly like how it did in that thing.
I imagine it would be a glorious kind of snapshot of all of the here's all the broken stuff. Yeah.
But effectively, we can contain all that stuff in the sort of early access league, and then if you still want to play those characters, you know, like then you can go right ahead and do that.
Interface en français et pas l'audio, comme GTA du coup.
Whatever the most recent league is, and then of course after.
Ça me dérange pas honnêtement. Après, je parle anglais donc. Mais bon, enfin, il y a des jeux qui font le choix. Avec Baldur's Gate aussi, l'audio il est écrit en anglais dans Baldur's Gate. GTA pareil.
Yeah, that's you know, no doubt what will happen.
Well, it's nice that it's not going to be affecting what will be the standard league.
Yeah.
Also,
that's the idea.
People will be able to kind of get.
Un petit bet sur le Discord si vous voulez sur mon premier perso.
I mean, there's even something kind of cool about the.
Là, de ce que j'ai vu ce soir, peut-être que mon choix a changé. Hein. On a vu des choses très stylées quand même dans les ascendances.
Absolutely, and I'm sure there'll be some handful of legacy things that only exist in early access leagues. So you know, I guess we'll have to see how comes the unique balance.
You talked about like the you know, playing for a week or how long are we expecting? Well, we also got to remember, and a lot of the PoE1 players were thinking very differently to people who are. It's a new game, but it is a new game. Yeah. Right, you don't have all these predefined, hyper-refined builds to play to immediately, you know.
Et moi, par contre, enfin, je l'ai peut-être déjà dit. Mais moi, PO2 au début, je vais le prendre vraiment chill. Enfin, chill. Je vais beaucoup jouer. Et genre, je vais pas essayer genre de fumer le jeu trop vite, etc. Je vais vraiment profiter. Là, si je fais des tutos tout de suite aussi.
now those
Je
things
fais pas
will
une vidéo
emerge
dessus, je pense,
after
sur un peu
time.
mon
Of
point de
course
vue
they
par rapport à
do,
PO2.
completely fine.
Et la
But you
manière
gotta
dont je
remember,
vais,
like,
je
there's
vais
a
jouer
lot
les
of
premiers mois.
game to play here, to discover, to learn about the
Mais
world, the
bah,
new
pour vous donner un petit peu un
narratives,
ordre
the
d'idée,
new
moi j'ai
world
commencé la
building,
première
the
vidéo
new
sur PoE1.
unique
J'avais déjà
items,
3000 heures sur le jeu, hein, donc je
ascension
savais un petit
classes,
peu
the
bah, des
massive
sujets
tree,
dont
which
je
is
parlais,
bigger than
je connaissais bien.
PoE1s,
Alors que là, vu que je serais un noob comme tout le monde sur PoE2,
you know, endgame systems,
je sais pas si je me
the
sentirais légitime de faire des
bosses,
tutos à ce moment-là.
it's not gonna be this,
Donc on verra.
like, you know, even, you know, personally when a PoE1 league
Mais
comes out,
je pense qu'au début, on va prendre ça de manière assez
sometimes a bit longer,
découverte en fait.
sometimes a bit less, it ultimately
Après, bon, bah, ce sera un marathon sur les mois. De toute façon, je pense que, à mon avis, le premier mois sur PoE2, ça va être l'enfer. À mon avis, la création de contenu. À mon avis, il y aura l'effet un peu, si vous voyez ce que je veux dire, de nuée de sauterelles. Il y aura des montagnes de contenu, on ne saura même plus où donner de la tête, avec probablement des qualités relativement douteuses. Parce que tout le monde voudra avoir sa petite part du gâteau de l'audience PoE2. Et après, bon, bah, ça va se décanter au fur et à mesure 2025, etc. Et bah, les gens qui seront intéressés par le jeu resteront à ce moment-là. Donc je pense que je sais pas si moi je vais faire beaucoup de contenu vraiment sur le. Enfin, j'en ferai sur la sortie, on streamera, etc. Et je pense que je vais pas essayer de faire la course au tuto ou au truc comme ça. Bah, déjà parce qu'il faut que j'attende de bien connaître le jeu pour vous raconter des trucs intéressants, quoi. Et après, bah, comme d'habitude, on fera le marathon, on va rester sur le jeu de toute façon pendant des années, a priori. Donc, vous voyez ce que je veux dire? Mais ouais, c'est ça, je veux pas non plus me burn out le jeu. Enfin, j'ai un peu envie de profiter. Hein. Il y a quand même un événement dans le monde du hack and slash et peut-être même dans le monde du jeu vidéo. Donc, j'ai pas envie de me gâcher l'expérience pour YouTube. Ouais, je pense que ça va être. Je pense que le côté création de contenu va être un peu toxique les premières semaines à mon avis parce qu'il y aura beaucoup d'audience. Donc, il y aura plein de gens là qui arrivent, qui vont faire des tutos pendant 2 semaines et puis après passer à un autre jeu. Mercenaire avocateur, on verra. Ouais. Mais ouais, le but c'est de pas me burn out quoi, trop vite. Plutôt de bien profiter, découvrir, etc. Essayer de pas trop se spoiler les boss, vous voyez ce que je veux dire? Alors c'est quand même pas tous les jours que tu peux découvrir un jeu de cette trame, donc ça me ferait chier moi de me le cramer juste pour le plaisir de faire des vidéos rapidement. Mais en tout cas vous allez me voir pendant des années a priori sur le jeu ensuite, hein, donc par votre rendez-vous, peut-être pas quotidien mais hebdomadaire peut-être. Hein. Yo Credo, merci pour le prime, merci beaucoup. Merci pour tous les primes qu'il y a eu là pendant la présentation. Lulu, Romumu, Niraya, Tax, Yam, James, Miskera, Sivori, Couleur, Jeremy Dev, Pazigro. Merci à tous, merci beaucoup hein, pour les primes et les subs que vous avez lâchés. Quel pack je prends pour l'Early Access? On peut regarder. Hein. Donc on aura beaucoup de currency, disons, pour partir.
I could see Exalt's becoming the new kind of like chaos.
Yeah, I think actually
la thune.
I actually agree.
C'est où?
We'll see.
C'est où, mesdames et messieurs?
Shop. Economy, right? Like who even knows? The market will have to.
But I like they were already arguing about this.
Ok, donc on a quoi comme pack? On parle le let's play en live, hein, bien sûr, Bako. Allez, à la prochaine fois qu'ils vont se coucher. Donc du coup, on aura le pack 30 balles, c'est le pack de base. Donc pour 30 balles, vous avez l'équivalent de 30 balles à dépenser dans la boutique pour acheter des onglets de coffre, etc. Vous avez la soundtrack du jeu à télécharger et vous avez évidemment la clé d'Early Access pour Path of Exile 2. Donc ça, en vrai, si vous vous tâtez, vous n'avez pas envie forcément de mettre trop de thunes, vous voulez juste avoir la clé du jeu et de quoi vous payer quelques stage tabs, go, ça c'est la bonne option. En sachant que vous pouvez, ils ont dit à tout moment, upgrader d'un tiers à l'autre si le cœur vous en dit plus tard. Et donc ensuite, vous avez du coup le pack du coup à 60 balles qui inclut normalement le contenu du pack du dessous avec en plus moult trucs. Des pets, vous avez un set d'armure, un emblème pour le forum, etc. Le pack à 100 balles. J'ai l'impression qu'il vous donne à chaque fois, les trucs du dessous. Hein. Donc chaque pack inclut le contenu du pack inférieur, j'ai l'impression. Si je dis pas de conneries. Ouais, c'est ça. Et donc là en plus vous avez du coup moult trucs. Le pack à 160 balles. Pas stylé. Avec le t-shirt inclus, mesdames et messieurs. Le t-shirt Path of Exile 2. Et le contenu de tous les packs d'avant. Plus moult cosmétiques. Les pets ne ramassent pas de gold, non. Et le pack à 240 balles. Donc le t-shirt, plus le hoodie, plus le contenu de tous les trucs. Plus moult trucs à la con en plus. Et le pack à 480 balles. Avec le t-shirt, le hoodie, le livre artwork. Et derrière, tout le contenu que vous pouvez imaginer. On a vu le Hideout City avec un trône et tout, avec des bateaux. Enfin bon, la folie furieuse, quoi. Mais honnêtement, si vous tâtez, conseillez-moi le pack à 30 balles. Vous démarrez le jeu, etc. Puis ça vous plaît, vous pouvez toujours upgrader. Les packs qui seront disponibles pendant toute l'early access. Donc pendant plusieurs mois, voire années. Au moins, moi, je dirais au moins un an. Donc vous aurez bien le temps de voir si le cœur vous en dit plus tard, quoi. Hideoutville, à ton avis? Ah, c'est sur 500 balles, évidemment. Là où t'as le Hideoutville et compagnie. Il y a 5 clés PO2 là? T'as vu ça où? Ah oui! T'as plein de clés PO2 pour donner aux gens là. Incroyable. Ah, c'est pas con ça, pour moi. Ça veut dire qu'à tout moment... Ça veut dire qu'à tout moment, je prends le pack. Je vais voir. Alors en mode, à tout moment, tu prends le pack à 60 balles et tu fais gagner une clé, quoi. Bon, attendez, j'ai rien promis pour l'instant. Mais bon, on va dire que ça reste dans un petit coin de ma tête. On verra. Ralasse-nous, on se calme là, mesdames et messieurs. Excusez-moi, je pensais à voix haute. Bref. Mais ouais, non, mais c'est magnifique, hein, les cosmétiques de PE, ils sont toujours de très bonne qualité. Et là, sur PE2, ça régale, hein, carrément. Il veut un docteur, attends, la ralasse, ça te suffit, oui. Ah, je te jure. Bon, bah écoutez, je sais pas lequel je prends, mais bon, peut-être qu'il va y avoir petit accident, on verra. On verra. Deux packs à 500 balles, donc peut-être pas un accident à ce point-là quand même. Mais ouais, incroyable. Top. Voilà, est-ce qu'on a un petit collègue à aller raid, mesdames et messieurs, pour faire tourner un petit peu la hype? Qu'est-ce qu'on a en FR qui stream? Bah, on a Enip, hein, typiquement. Qu'est-ce qu'on a d'autre? Voyons voir, il est où Path of Exile 2? On a... bon, après, il y a Dringe et Swinsign, mais bon, ils ont beaucoup de viewers déjà, donc c'est pas forcément hyper important de les raids. Je vous envoie chez Enip, écoutez. Enip, là, il a quand même... il faisait partie... Enfin, il a fait un gros effort, là, ces derniers temps, pour jouer à PoE1, essayer d'intéresser un peu les gens et tout. Donc, je pense que c'est un bon... Je pense que c'est un bon petit retour d'ascenseur, là. Bah, de lui envoyer un petit peu de la hype, quoi. Bon, bah du coup, moi, mesdames et messieurs, je vais vous laisser là pour ce soir. Je vais aller me coucher, je bosse demain. Stay tuned. Ce week-end, il y aura des vidéos qui vont sortir. On va résumer tout ça. Et puis à partir du moment où PoE2 sort, évidemment, vous allez me retrouver régulièrement. J'ai posé des jours de congé, il y a des vacances qui arrivent ensuite, etc. Donc on va se voir très régulièrement sur YouTube dès ce week-end. Et sur Twitch, dès qu'il y a des jeux un petit peu à jouer ensemble, quoi. Ça vous dit? Merci beaucoup d'avoir suivi, d'avoir été aussi nombreux. Ça fait hyper plaisir. Si vous avez manqué une partie, n'hésitez pas sur YouTube, il y a la rubrique live. Vous pouvez revoir toute la rediff depuis le début. Ça reste pour toujours. Donc si vous avez envie de revoir des parties, n'hésitez pas. Puis écoutez, merci à tous d'avoir suivi. À la prochaine, la bise à Enip. Et portez-vous bien, passez une bonne nuit. Et puis à ce week-end sur YouTube du coup. Et merci évidemment pour tout le soutien. Merci beaucoup Gavroche. Et merci pour les follows. Allez, ciao mesdames et messieurs. Passez une bonne soirée. Et une bonne fin de stream chez Enip.
Plus, we have other systems in there, like, you know, the checkpointing system, right? You have to kill the boss in one life. You know, these are things we have. I'm Chris Wilson from Grinding Gear Games. Other games have, and they work, and that's awesome. There are other things like, you know, the endgame system is a little bit less forgiving in that if you die, you fail the map, right? These things are things that we obviously need to test and iterate on. In the future by adjusting the difficulty and stuff like that, and especially as you get towards this point of,
méga hypé, hein. Je pense que